Grand Mage Jung Wee-hyuk stands before humanity, announcing an end to famine, war, and collapse. He vows that mages will step out of the shadows and save civilization. He explains how, at the brink of self-destruction, magic erased humanity's worst crises overnight. The mages become heroes. Jung Wee-hyuk becomes the most loved man alive. Yet privately, he admits to his disciple Eugene that the world still has too many problems, and he needs righteous, wise mages to help him carry his will forward. Eugene, bright-eyed and devoted, promises he will stand beside him. Years later, chaos erupts. A terrified girl collapses as some grotesque curse turns her lower body to veined stone. A massive hand touches her head. The veins spread. Her cries turn desperate, begging for another chance, then silence. Her master watches in horror, mind reeling. The rumor was real. The urban legend whispered about mages being hunted, wrecked and mangled by bizarre magic. The one stain on Grand Mage Jung Wee-hyuk's perfect legacy, his discarded disciple. The master recognizes the figure. Eugene. He panics, tries to reason, then releases a fireball and runs, but Eugene catches him effortlessly, turning his body to veined stone as well. The master realizing, this thing, whatever it is, cannot be magic. Elsewhere, kidnapping victims huddle in a dark confinement room. When the door opens, they believe rescue has finally come, until Eugene's horrific face appears. Chaos, screams, then silence. Detectives later assess the scene, victims in shock but alive, bearing strange marks they still can't get used to seeing. Only one mage could have done this. Detective Kim Sung-hae freezes as Eugene suddenly appears behind him, greeting him cheerfully. Eugene recounts how the victims were screaming, foaming at the mouth the moment the door opened, so he called emergency services immediately. He speaks casually, friendly, even nosy, an unsettling contrast to his eerie aura and nightmarish magic. He hands over the criminals now transformed into trembling jelly balls. Kim Sung-hae tries to remind himself not to judge by appearances. Eugene discusses recent rumors, a gruesome-faced serial killer roaming the country. The detective listens politely. Kim Sung-hae wonders internally, should I tell him he's the one from the rumors? But Eugene simply hands him a flyer he's been preparing and hurries off to start something important. A narration explains how magic became woven into every part of society: food, medicine, safety, even weather. Yet mage numbers are critically low. Institutes urge people to train. Meanwhile, Eugene begins distributing flyers for Eugene's Magic Academy. He reflects on his promise to his master, on how many people misuse magic for cruelty, and how simply smashing wrongdoers doesn't fix the deeper problem. He resolves to find a better way. Relaxing in a garden with iced coffee, Eugene ponders, how can he create mages of wisdom, knowledge, and righteous character? His thoughts are interrupted when a teacher and her students freeze in terror at his appearance. Then it hits him: marketing. He needs to attract attention. He approaches people with flyers, but they flee. No one even lets him speak, so he decides to stand out more. Eugene enlarges himself like a growing monster, sprouting giant limbs and tentacles to hand out flyers more efficiently. He animates the flyers so they talk. Total pandemonium breaks out. People scream, faint, run. Eugene is delighted. This is great outreach. Flashy, memorable, entertaining magic, just like the tall amusement park clown he saw as a kid. He thinks proudly, this is how you bring magic to the world. A sudden blast of fire explodes against Eugene's head. A veteran combat mage, Director Choi Yi-suk of Prime Mage Academy, arrives and declares the serial killer monster subdued. Parents swoon, students admire him, and he internally celebrates the perfect PR opportunity. Until he realizes Eugene's body is missing. Then, Eugene appears right in front of him. Calm, uninjured, and disappointed. Eugene grabs the director by the jaw, muffling his screams. He accuses him plainly, "You're the serial killer." He explains how he knew. Only a real murderer would casually blow off someone's head with magic in public. No sane mage would use magic for brutality. No one with a conscience would study magic only to slaughter innocent people. He condemns the director and knocks him out to atone when he wakes up. Moments later, the director's upper body melts into a mass of veins, his own crimes returning to him. Eugene leaves, casually mumbling that he needs to finish promo. At a mage battlefield littered with unconscious mages, people watch disturbing footage on their phones, a terrifying creature walking openly in daylight. They speculate about disguises, rumors, and whether it's true that the monster is Jung Wee-hyuk's disciple. Grand Mage Jung Wee-hyuk's daughter, now a powerful figure, receives the photo. One glance, a sharp inhale, she crushes the phone in her hand. Even after more than a decade, she could never forget that face. Her inner voice trembles with a mixture of shock anger, and something deeper. After all these years, her chance to prove herself to her father has finally arrived. She sets her sights on Eugene. The scene shifts. Mr. Eugene, leave the killer stuff to the police and focus on your academy. We'll call if we need help. Got it, Eugene smiles. Guess I'll finish promoting elsewhere. Bye-bye. The officers cheer awkwardly. Take care. Eugene hums to himself. Next stop, the elementary school. Eugene teach. It has a nice ring to it. He imagines opening his academy, filling it with students, and becoming a great teacher who raises fine mages for the world. A young Jung-ain practices magic under her father's watchful eye. She finally manages to produce a spark, her face lighting up with pure pride. Her father praises her warmly, but his tone turns serious. He tells her that being special isn't something you simply have. It's something you must live up to. Talent means nothing unless she becomes someone worthy of it. Ain, fired up and overflowing with confidence, declares her dream she'll become a grand mage just like him. In the moment inspiration hits, she looks around, eager to brag to her beloved Uncle Eugene. The scene jumps to the present. Ain now sits across from director Choi Yi-seok in his office, asking about Eugene. Instead of information, she gets a rant. To Choi, Eugene is a total monster, someone who melts people into mush with some unknown magic, possibly not even magic at all. His blank, unsettling face still haunts the man's nightmares. Choi can't understand how someone like that could have been the disciple of Jong Yui-hyuk, the grand mage known for compassion and charity. Ain tries to bring the conversation back on track, asking what kind of intel he has on Eugene. Choi dodges, ranting about getting caught off guard and beaten down years prior. This time, he claims, he's come prepared, gathering alumni combat elites to counter whatever freakish magic Eugene might throw. Ain stares at him flatly. This isn't the information she asked for. It's just him complaining about getting his ass handed to him. She stands to leave. As Ain heads for the door, Choi's subordinates block her path, offended by her bluntness. They demand she apologize, insist she cooperate. The Grand Mage's daughter isn't the Grand Mage herself. One of them even calls her a stuck-up bitch. A beat later, the room changes completely. Every one of those same subordinates is sprawled, defeated, groaning on the floor. Ain dusts herself off and calmly addresses the stunned director. Teach them manners before magic. Elsewhere, a customer confronts someone being obnoxiously loud in a cafe. It turns out to be Eugene. He apologizes instantly, voice polite, but the customer recoils anyway, unnerved by Eugene's eerie, unreadable face. They retreat, muttering excuses. Eugene goes back to sipping his drink, staring at his phone. Algorithms intimidate him more than monsters ever have. He sighs. He has no idea where to even begin with online promotion. Eugene remembers the detective's advice. Online promotion works better than handing out flyers. He swears he won't get distracted this time, and immediately gets distracted. Someone taps his back. He jumps so hard the girl falls over in fright. She assures him she's fine and asks if he's Eugene. When he confirms, she tells him someone wants to meet him. Soon, he's following her and her partner through the city. The guy behind him is quietly panicking. Eugene's presence is so intense that escorting him feels like a hostage mission. They call Jolnan in to update her. They've got him following without resistance, and they'll take a taxi soon. Eugene, clueless and curious, asks who he's being taken to. The escorting girl just says they want it to be a surprise, while internally wondering why he keeps staring at her like that. Earlier, Ain had gathered her subordinates and briefed them on Eugene. He's 34. A war orphan taken in by her father around age 4, trained as a mage, grew into a brilliant researcher, until he vanished 14 years ago. Her team murmurs among themselves. The rumors about him being the Grand Mage's disciple were actually true. One of them spots a childhood photo and nearly chokes. The adorable kid somehow became that terrifying adult. Ain assigns the retrieval to Hui Myung and Yoon Hae. Bring Eugene to her while she finishes preparations. When asked what she plans to do once they meet, her expression darkens. On the day Eugene disappeared, her father said he was disappointed in him. The disciple always at his side suddenly abandoned him and vanished. Now, after over a decade, Eugene has reappeared, and she needs to know his intentions. If he means to threaten or dishonor Jung Wi-hyuk in any way, she'll handle it personally. The team's only job is to locate him and bring him in. Back in the city, the escorting girl walks ahead of Eugene, her nerves spiking. Why does he keep staring at her like that? What is with this guy? Walking ahead of Eugene feels like walking with a blade at her back. The pressure, the staring, the suffocating tension. She keeps telling herself he wouldn't try anything in public. Then Eugene suddenly leans in and whispers by her ear, light and casual. Got it. You work with Ain, huh? She reacts on instinct. A spear of ice lashes out and slices through his hand before he even finishes the sentence. She shouts for a plan change, subdue him, and drag him in. Her partner activates his magic with a resigned groan. I knew it had come to this. A massive blast of blue energy crashes down from above, engulfing Eugene. The two subordinates bicker as smoke clears. One accuses the other of ruining the plan. The other snaps back, saying anyone would panic if Eugene stared at them like that and reached out. Then their voices die. The street darkens as Eugene rises out of the crater, hand regenerating smoothly from where it was sliced off. His expression is unreadable. He apologizes, calmly, genuinely. He's sorry for startling them earlier, but this level of retaliation feels a bit much. The memory flashes back to their earlier briefing, when they had asked Ain what to do if Eugene ever attacked first. Rumor said he'd killed countless mages, was the Grand Mage's disciple, and leagues above their level. Ain had told them not to worry. Eugene had talent, sure, but he was a researcher, not a warrior. If they ever faced him, they were to minimize damage and call her immediately. Back in the present, Ain arrives to find her subordinates half dissolved, trapped in Eugene's strange regenerating magic, squirming, panicking, and thoroughly traumatized. Eugene moves toward them, but Ain blasts him away with a clean, powerful strike, then crouches to check her team. They scream warnings through their mushy forms. His magic regenerates endlessly, breaks through defensive spells, and if he touches you, you're done. They insist he's a total freak. Ain decides immediately they need to relocate. She activates a transportation spell, shifting the battlefield elsewhere. The world stabilizes in a new location. Eugene looks around, then spots her. His eyes light up. He calls her name with pure joy, amazed at how much she's grown, marveling at the 14 years that have passed. He gushes like an uncle reuniting with a beloved niece, recognizing her hat as the one from her father, proud she became a mage. Ain cuts through his warmth like a blade. Why did you do that to my people? Eugene sheepishly explains that he misunderstood earlier. He startled them. They attacked with lethal spells, so he just restrained them lightly until they calmed down. Ain has no patience for it. She doesn't care about the details. She admits she was agonizing over what excuse she'd need to justify fighting him. But now, she realizes she doesn't need one. He's already broken. Magic circles bloom around Ain, one after another. Layers of reinforcement, curses, armor, weaponry, shields, exoskeletons, everything she can stack at once. She trembles with emotion. How dare he leave her staff like that? How dare he drag her father's name through the mud? How dare he walk back into their lives after disappearing? If he insists on returning after all the damage he's caused, then he has to fall by her hand. She activates a movement spell, her form blurring, and launches herself straight at him. Director Choi Yi-seok's residence lies in ruins, still echoing with the aftermath of Jung-ain's magic. One furious subordinate seethes at the destruction, calling it an unforgivable humiliation for both the director and the academy. Even the fact that Ain is the Grand Mage's daughter isn't enough to calm his rage. He wants retaliation. Choi Yi-seok, however, shuts him down immediately. He knows better. Calm but heavy with memory, he recalls a past mission alongside the Grand Mage. That was the first time in his life he ever felt completely insignificant as a mage. The gap between them wasn't just large, it was incomprehensible. Choi admits the bitter truth. Even if every combat mage in the academy attacked together, they wouldn't so much as touch a single hair on her head. Her magic isn't just powerful, it's a natural disaster given form. The scene cuts to the present battlefield, where Jung-ain mercilessly overwhelms Eugene with relentless magic. As explosions shake the ground, one thought echoes in Eugene's mind. Something about this feels wrong. Eugene watches Ain's rage with confusion. He can't understand why she's so angry. Genuinely concerned, he asks if something bad happened, because the Ain he once knew wouldn't act like this over a bad mood. Her response is venomous. She calls him a traitor. She accuses him of betraying her father, disappearing without gratitude, and returning only to disgrace the title of Grand Mage's disciple. And as the real disciple, she declares his punishment. Explosive spells rain down, blasting Eugene into the ground without mercy. As Eugene is battered by magic, one word echoes in his mind: betrayal. He can't understand what he did wrong. After more than a decade apart, this is how she greets him? The world fades into a memory. A much younger Ain stands before him, anxious and powerless, still unable to use magic. Afraid she may never become a mage, she seeks comfort from her uncle. Eugene reassures her with warmth and certainty. She is the beloved daughter of the greatest mage alive. Together, they'll find a way. And when she finally can use magic, they'll study it together. She makes him promise. The memory fades back to the present. In his heart, Eugene apologizes. He never kept that promise. Across the battlefield, Ain realizes something horrifying. None of her magic is working. Every spell, Every element, every attack, not a single one gets through. To her, Eugene feels less like a man and more like an undying monster. And Eugene finally understands. He left without ever seeing Aine become a mage. Aine begins to breathe heavily. The toll of her own overwhelming power is catching up to her. Aine tries to regain control, steadying her heart. She reminds herself that regeneration magic has limits. There are always ways to suppress it. Then Eugene suddenly shouts her name. His voice isn't angry, it's warm, apologetic. He realizes the truth at last. She's not attacking him out of hatred. She wanted to show him, to show off how far she's come, to prove, to brag, to be seen. And instead of fighting back, he praises her. He tells her how incredible her magic is, how much effort it must have taken to master so many spells, how hard she must have worked. For the first time, Aine freezes. Eugene adds one more blow, soft yet devastating. Her father must be so proud. The scene shifts to the past. Aine, newly awakened as a mage, stands radiant as her father praises her talent and achievements. She boasts eagerly, desperate to grow stronger. Her father smiles warmly and tells her he'll wait for her to become a disciple as proud-making as Uncle Eugene. Back in the present, her entire life of relentless training flashes by. Every near-death effort, every achievement, every ounce of praise she lived for, all of it built on one goal: to be seen. Aine's resentment finally spills over. No matter how hard she trained, no matter how many achievements she piled up, her father never once called her his most proud disciple. Yet Eugene, the one who left, the one labeled a disappointment, he still remained by her father's side as that very disciple. Back in the present, Eugene recalls a teaching principle he once studied for his academy: praise students' efforts clearly and actively. He genuinely believes this should finally calm her down. It does the exact opposite. Aine crushes open several energy capsules and swallows them without hesitation. Everything she's built, every drop of effort, she refuses to let it be brushed aside like a childish trick. Fueled by bitterness and pride, Aine begins drawing out an absurdly dangerous spell. If he's going to dismiss her power so lightly, then he'll face it head-on. She dares him to survive this one even with his precious regeneration. Her subordinates panic, screaming for her to stop. If she uses that spell here, everyone dies. Even Eugene is shaken. Eugene watches in awe as the magic structure forms. Three-wheel magic. He realizes it instantly. This isn't just talent. This is the result of unimaginable effort. His chest tightens with a completely different kind of emotion: pride. He wants to help her grow even further, to make everything she's built bear even greater fruit. As the demonized spear takes shape, Eugene suddenly moves. In mid-spell, his hand slips into Aine's casting form, seamlessly merging with her control. But what she needed wasn't praise. Instead of stopping the spell by force, Eugene starts adjusting it. He explains the inefficiencies in her manual control circuit, tweaks her mana distribution, simplifies the spell's layout as if this is a classroom lesson, not a battlefield. From a distance, her subordinates stare in stunned disbelief, unsure whether they should feel lucky to be alive or consider themselves already dead. Eugene continues casually, even critiquing her high-speed movement spell from earlier. That's when Aine finally snaps. She explodes at him for doing it again, publicly dissecting her flaws, mid-battle, as if nothing has changed in over a decade. He's still the same oblivious man who critiques first and considers feelings later. Her anger spills into memory. She brings up the cookies she once baked for her father's birthday, how Eugene ate them, and immediately critiqued the recipe in front of everyone. She didn't need a review. She needed support. She screams at him to stop meddling, stop patting himself on the back, and stop being so unbearably clueless. Her subordinates, listening from the sidelines, are completely thrown off by the sudden domestic-sounding trauma. Cookies? For her dad? She roasts people too? Eugene, finally realizing the mess he's caused, calmly undoes the dangerous magic for everyone using his strange mush-like spell. Aine exhales slowly, regaining her composure. If the fight continues like this, Sheech will end up looking like the unreasonable one. Then Eugene quietly asks the question that cuts deepest. When did she first start using magic? After everything they tried to help her, after every shared hope, she answers without hesitation. The day after Eugene left. One of Aine's subordinates suddenly realizes their face has returned to normal, gasping in relief, only to be instantly roasted by Aine without mercy. Business finished, she orders Huimyong and Yunhenie to withdraw. Then she turns back to Eugene. Her voice is calm now, too calm. She tells him she doesn't know what kind of life he's been living lately, but many mages have already abandoned him. Do whatever he wants, she says. Just don't drag her father's reputation down any further. If he insists on walking his own path, then he better do it carefully. Then the final blow lands. There's no need for him to return to her father anymore. For her and for her father, his empty seat no longer exists. As they prepare to leave, one subordinate hesitates, wondering what to do about Eugene. Ain turns back once more and asks where Eugene lives. They'll drop him off. Then she hands him her business card, not his family, as a last resort. She tells him to only call if there's real trouble, so he doesn't go running to her father again. No unnecessary contact, no emotional excuses. But instead of accepting the card with his hand, Eugene uses his magic. His body blends with hers for an instant and his hand slips through her chest, and he pulls out her heart. The world plunges inward, deep into Eugene's thoughts. He always hoped it wasn't true. He tried to understand. He told himself there had to be a reason. The past resurfaces in fragments. His master, Ain's father, cutting into him without mercy, tearing out his heart and holding it in his hand. That was the promise Eugene forced himself to believe. Back to the present. Eugene now stands holding Ain's heart in his own hand. It is identical to the one taken from him long ago. His voice trembles as he finally asks the question he's been avoiding for years. Master, what did you do with the heart you took from me? The reality becomes unbearable. This is something Eugene simply cannot accept. Friedrich storms in, furious, demanding to know what Jung Yui-hyuk has done. Yui-hyuk barely flinches, lazily complaining about the volume before dropping the real bomb. Exposing magic to ordinary humans was never part of the original plan. Friedrich explodes. Humans were hidden from magic for centuries for a reason. They destroyed themselves with their primitive knowledge. Before, and now Yui-hyuk is handing power to the unqualified. This wasn't about sharing swords with children, it was about mages ruling from above. Yui-hyuk snaps back just as sharply. Mages are humans too. The silence between them is heavy with betrayal. Yui-hyuk argues that hiding only caused magic to rot in stagnation. Revealing it isn't destruction, it's the beginning of shared prosperity. Friedrich responds with a spell. With a casual flick of his wrist, the structures behind them are obliterated in a violent blast. Lives erased in an instant. And he calls that mutual prosperity. Yui-hyuk doesn't back down. He tells Friedrich to simply watch. This era and mages themselves will change. And among the powerless lives Friedrich mocks so easily, there may one day rise a mage so terrifying that even the strongest grand mage will be forced to acknowledge them. For the first time, Yui-hyuk calls Friedrich a mere mage who dares defy him. The scene cuts sharply to Jung-un, sleeping on a couch. Voices seep into her consciousness. She stirs, opens her eyes. Her subordinates whisper nearby, shaken by what happened. One of them notices she's awake. Ain, disoriented, asks the first thing on her mind. Where is she? Eugene looms into view with his terrifyingly calm face. One of the subordinates explains she's at Eugene's academy, her uncle's place. The academy director. Eugene cheerfully confirms it. His uncle is opening a magic academy, and it's right before launch. He's swamped finishing the interior, recruiting students, even trying social media promotion for the first time. As Eugene babbles on, Ain touches her chest internally, stunned. My heart, there's no problem with it. Did he seriously pull it out with magic and shove it back in? She snaps at her subordinates in disbelief. They were casually chatting with the person who cripped her heart out. They panic at her wording and hurriedly clarify. This is Eugene, the academy director. And worse, he already knew everything about her secret heart condition. The explanation hits hard. Ain used massive magic earlier. The shock from collapsing likely forced her weakened heart into a dangerous state. And that's why Eugene intervened. The subordinates explain how terrified they were when Ain collapsed. Eugene carried all of them here in a panic. A hospital was impossible. Her condition is classified. Ain bows slightly to Eugene, apologizing for the intrusion and saying she'll leave now. But Eugene stops her. His uncle wants to speak with her. Something important. Ain turns to her subordinates and tells them to head home first. As they walk through the streets, they gossip freely, joking about how their terrifying chief somehow has an unbelievably soft personality. One of them admits they finally understand why she gets scammed so easily. The two reflect on the irony of their situation. Their chief is about to meet one-on-one with the man who ripped her heart out while she was alive. They glance again at the academy flyer from earlier. Teaching students, with that face and that magic, it sounds insane. But they can't deny the skill. Regeneration that brutal. Attacks that pierce defense magic. It is as tempting. They scoff at the idea that their chief would sell her livelihood-level magic just for money. Clearly, this is just promotion. Then suddenly, Wim Young bumps into someone. Before they can move on, the stranger casually identifies them from online videos. Mages who work with the Grand Mage's daughter, Zhang Ain. Unwanted fame, apparently. They try to laugh it off. And then the stranger speaks again with amused warmth. It's Friedrich, one of the greatest mages alive. And he didn't expect young people to recognize him so easily either. The man introduces himself calmly, a close friend of Ain's father, someone like an uncle to her. The scene shifts to Eugene and Ain alone. He doesn't waste time. Every time she uses magic, it strains her heart, doesn't it? Ain stiffens. Did he hear that from her father? There's no point hiding it anymore. She admits it flatly. If she keeps using magic like this, she'll probably die soon. Eugene freezes. She explains it like it's nothing. Inheriting her father's rare genius came with a cruel condition. A mana allergy so rare it sounds absurd. Every use crushes her heart little by little, until one day it simply bursts. Death guaranteed. In Eugene's mind, one thought echoes in horror. Mana allergy sounds like a convenient lie. Ain immediately snaps back. So that's why he ripped open her chest to check. She calls him impulsive, unchanged, and tries to stand. She has mountains of work waiting. Before she can even rise, Eugene grabs her wrist. He speaks fast now. The world doesn't only need mages. There are countless paths she could take. Instead of living on borrowed time, she could choose another life. His uncle will help her. She could start fresh. That's when Ain explodes. She yanks her hand back. He crossed the line, and she makes it clear. He has no right to interfere in her life anymore. She tells him the truth coldly. This life is hers. Being special, being an Archmage's kin. This curse, this sickness, this burden, it's hers to carry. And if the only way to live as a normal human means abandoning that specialness, she'd rather just die. Then she looks at him sharply and mocks his academy plans. A magic academy suits him perfectly. Instead of meddling in her life, he should focus on finding students who'll pay him and actually listen. Eugene softly calls her name. He's about to say the truth, but the moment is stolen. Her phone rings. It's Yunhae. Something is wrong. Ain hears it in her voice instantly. She tells her to hang in there. She's coming right now. She rushes out, apologizing briefly. Left behind, Eugene stands frozen. Should I have told her? The world fades into memory. 14 years ago. Eugene and Ain's father stand over failed simulations. Even using every medical spell he knows, Eugene can't stop mana rejection in someone innately unable to accept it, especially when transplanting a mage's heart. If they could solve this single issue, they could create great mages with integrity and wisdom. Ain's father stops him. Implanting Eugene's heart, packed with the highest mana, into a child not even 8 years old, is he truly willing to do that? Eugene doesn't hesitate. Ain is his precious niece, his master's daughter. Of course he would give her the best he has. But even then, living on borrowed time would only delay the inevitable. They shelve the method. There has to be another way. Back in the present, Eugene's thoughts unravel. Even if he told her now, Ain would never stop. Should he have restrained her by force, sealed her magic? Then the final truth crashes down on him. Ain is dying. Because of him. Just like 14 years ago, he has no choices left. None at all. Eugene stands alone with his thoughts, drowning in guilt. He calls himself what he's always feared most, a useless coward. The doorbell rings. The scene cuts to Zhong'an meeting Friedrich. He casually examines her, unimpressed. Aside from hair and eye color, he doesn't see much resemblance. That hat, though, it stirs old memories. Ain feels it instantly. The pressure of just standing in front of him is overwhelming. This is real. This man was once her father's right hand. The traitor who shattered multiple cities by defying him. Friedrich sips his drink lazily, muttering about nostalgia. A name echoes in Ain's mind with pure dread. Friedrich Gomorrah. In a blink, Ain's subordinate is lifted helplessly into the air by bizarre, unseen magic. Her heart sinks. The strongest combat mage alive. With the same effortless force, Friedrich flings both subordinates across the ground and tosses them near her like discarded objects. He clicks his tongue in irritation. Why does she keep weaklings like this around? They're not even useful as errand boys. On the ground, barely conscious, they force out warnings. Run. They apologize for calling her. They were just too scared. Ain doesn't hesitate. She casts a transportation spell instantly, sending them to the hospital. They barely have time to process it. One blurts out in shock. Did she just thank them for everything? They vanish. Ain whispers a quiet apology. Friedrich watches calmly. She's had enough time to sort things out. Now it's her turn to help him. He's going to meet her father, Zhong Wei-hyuk, for the first time in 30 years. Friedrich smiles coldly. He can't show up empty-handed. The daughter's neck should make a perfect gift. Wouldn't a 30-year reunion be that much more dramatic? Ain's response is instantaneous and merciless. A so-called old friend who doesn't even know her father's tastes isn't getting past the door. Her father won't be seeing him today. She spreads killing intent through the air and offers him something else instead, a place to die honorably. Zhong Ain's two subordinates lie broken and unmoving near the hospital entrance, soaked in blood and barely clinging to life. Medics rush in, shouting orders. Massive blood loss, critical condition, straight to resuscitation. The chaos fades. The scene shifts to a quiet room where the detective sits across from Eugene on a couch, awkwardly explaining that the department prepared a guide for social media promotions just like he asked. He tries to sound upbeat, but the pressure in the room is suffocating. Watching Eugene mope in silence feels downright terrifying. The detective finally asks what could have possibly crushed Eugene this badly. Eugene, hollow-eyed, apologizes and drops the bomb. He's scrapping the academy. He's done. He's going to find a different job. The detective is stunned. Eugene explains. There was a child who fought desperately for a dream even to the point of hurting themselves. And instead of helping, he told them to give up. He believes he wounded them deeply. In his own eyes, he's nothing but a meddlesome busybody who doesn't understand people at all. An educator? He laughs bitterly at the idea. The detective cuts in, firm but calm. As a detective, he says, it's painfully common. He's saved victims only to be yelled at for broken doors. He's rescued someone from jumping, only to be slapped in the face afterward. People ignore danger. People reject help. That doesn't change the duty. Should he have left them to die? No. Saving them was still his job. He looks Eugene in the eye and tells him, if a student is blind to their own suffering, the role of an educator is to show them the danger, worry with them, and help them find a way through it. That's the job. Inside, Eugene admits quietly to himself that that's exactly what he wanted to do. He just never knew how. The detective softens. This is a world with magic. If there's a way through anything, it has to be out there somewhere. And suddenly, Eugene's eyes sharpen. Of course, why didn't he think of that before? The world violently shifts. The battlefield between Jung-ein and Friedrich erupts across shattered mountains and gouged earth. A blazing fire spell tears toward Ein. She blocks it coldly with Mana Bullet XIO. The clash alone reshapes the terrain. Ein vanishes. She reappears behind Friedrich in an instant, unleashing second ring magic in a terrifying chain, super vibrating rebar, axe blade storms, telekinetic strikes, mana blades all at once. Friedrich barely holds the line, raising a red barrier and detonating a counter-fire spell that blasts Ein away. Even as she's thrown back, Ein fires telekinesis at full output. The ground rises like a massive wave and crashes down on Friedrich, burying him alive. Ein staggers, visibly exhausted. Then, she hears his voice from beneath the crushed earth. He calmly dissects her power, the absurd number of attributes, the reckless layering of spells, the vast mana capacity capable of overturning mountains, all of it acknowledged, all of it judged. Friedrich erupts back out of the rubble using the same fire element, barely scratched. He looks at Ein with a faint smile. So, is that the kind of praise she wanted to hear? Yes, she can spam countless spells, but she hasn't truly mastered a single one. He didn't come all this way to watch a flashy talent show. That's when he notices it. Ein isn't listening anymore. In front of him, she is already forming something far more dangerous. A third ring spell begins to manifest. Meteor, Spear of the Pupil. The sky itself screams as the spell descends, erasing everything in its path. Ein collapses to the ground, her body finally giving in. Her heart screams under the strain. Even after unleashing 3-ring magic, even after pouring out every spell she has, she's empty. One more light spell, and she'll self-destruct. As the truth sinks in, despair wraps around her chest. Not just her magic is finished, her life might be too. Friedrich appears before her, floating calmly in the air. As Ein stares up at him, she clings to one last fragile hope that her final battle, her final struggle, will at least remain something her father can be proud of. Then Friedrich calls out to her like she's nothing more than a stray kid. Instead of killing her, Friedrich tells her to go home. That alone shocks her. Coldly, he admits he expected a masterpiece from the blood of Jong-wee Hyuk, but what he saw was nothing more than crude magic bloated with raw firepower and flashy effects. Her 3-ring spell? Just 3 unstable rings smashed together with no elegance. He's not impressed. He's disappointed. Then he twists the knife deeper, saying he almost feels sorry for the Grand Mage for having a failure like her as his offspring. Killing her, he says, would only be doing her father a favor. Then Friedrich turns away. He refuses to do anything that would benefit Jong-wee Hyuk, even killing his daughter. The weak subordinate she brought as bait already told him everything he needed to know. She bored him. He tells her to go home, wash up, and sleep. Just like that. Ein panics as he starts to leave. She screams after him, demanding he finish it, reminding him that he promised to take her head to her father. This can't be how it ends. If she lives like this, if she survives after being stripped of her magic and pride, she'll be left with nothing but a pathetic, empty life. Friedrich sighs in irritation. Her crying grates on his nerves. He tells her to stop whining. But if she's truly begging to die after being spared, then maybe he should reconsider. Before Friedrich can act, someone else steps in. Out of nowhere, Eugene appears in front of Ein, completely calm, as if he's just walked into an inconvenient scene. He glances around casually. Oh, so this is where Ein went. Ein stares up at him in disbelief. Uncle, Eugene? Eugene's phone rings out of nowhere. The moment he hears who's on the line, his tone shifts. Friedrich, that old man. He pieces everything together quickly, already pinpointing the location. There's no hesitation. Ain is in danger, and he's moving immediately. He turns to Detective Kim with an apologetic look, explaining that something extremely urgent has come up. Kim doesn't press him and urges him to go. Before leaving, Eugene asks for the flyer Kim is holding. He scribbles something on it while quietly apologizing for the worried expression he'd been wearing earlier, especially after Kim took time out of a busy schedule just to check on him. Kim brushes it off, slightly embarrassed, calling himself nosy. With a flash of magic, Eugene opens an actual window through the wall and prepares to leave. He thanks Detective Kim, admitting that those nosy words gave him the courage he needed. He promises to get in touch once he finishes the urgent business. Kim watches him leave through the window in stunned silence. Just how urgent is it if he's leaving through the wall? Eugene looks energized again, but in the creepiest way possible. Eugene soars through the sky in a new bird-like form, eyes locked on his destination. This is the place mentioned in the call. As he surveys the ground below, he whistles at the devastation. The entire area looks like it was wiped out by a missile strike. If magic caused this level of destruction, then the enemy is no joke. As Eugene flies overhead, a familiar voice cuts through the chaos. Ain shouts that she's not done yet. In an instant, Eugene dives from the sky and grabs her hand. Ain freezes in shock, completely unprepared for his sudden appearance. She demands to know how he found her. Eugene casually explains that Go Huimyong, the man working with her, called and warned him. Before he can even finish his sentence, a brutal strike slams straight into his head. Friedrich steps forward, clicking his tongue in disgust. He mocks Eugene's appearance, even asking if he's Ain's boyfriend. Interrupting him is bad enough, but looking that hideous is apparently unforgivable. Eugene, unfazed, bends casually while keeping Ain protected, remarking that Friedrich's temper hasn't changed since the old days. He asks for a moment, promising to deal with him right after he finishes talking to Ain. Ain stares in absolute disbelief. Then Eugene does something impossible. He reaches into Ain's chest and pulls out her heart still beating in his hand. Her mind blanks. What is this? What is he doing? Eugene calmly shows it to her, explaining that her heart is in such a dangerous state that it could explode at any moment, but she cuts him off, shouting him down. She tells him not to interfere. Not now, not ever. This isn't meddling, it's her choice. Then the real reason spills out. She refuses to let him take away her chance to die as Oh Jung-Wi-Hyok's daughter. Eugene freezes at the word ruin. Then his anger finally explodes. What kind of adult would stand by and let a child march toward death without stopping her? His voice shakes the battlefield. Ain falters. If not this, then what is she supposed to do? Ain breaks down completely. This is her only chance to be special to her father. The only way to prove herself. She doesn't want to die. But with a heart like this, becoming a grand mage is impossible. So how else is she supposed to become her father's proudest disciple? Then he gently tells her to put that specialness down for now. He hands her the flyer. If she promises not to give up on life, if she gives him the chance to take responsibility, then no matter what it costs, he will make her a grand mage. Ain doesn't answer right away. Even her father couldn't save her. So how could Eugene? She swallows the doubt before it can escape, because standing in front of her is the man she always desperately wanted to become, her father's proudest disciple. She forces out a shaky joke, accusing him of threatening people by grabbing their hearts. Unbelievable, truly. Still, her doubt is already cracking. Ain finally decides. She'll take the chance. Should she call him master? Uncle? Maybe this man can let her dream again. The dream she already buried. Eugene rejects the title instantly. Too old-fashioned. Then, grinning like an idiot, he squeezes her heart so hard impurities burst out of it. Call me Teacher Eugene to be trendy. Ain completely loses it. Teacher? You crazy bastard. What are you doing? Then she blinks. It doesn't hurt. Inside, Eugene quietly makes his wish. It was good to see her again after so long. Shameless as it is, he has a favor to ask. Not as his heart anymore, but as Jane's heart. The heart melts back into her body. The overflowing mana is gone, completely silent, yet her heart feels peaceful. For the first time, her body feels like it truly belongs to her again. She can still live, still aiming for grand magic. Now that Ain is safe, Eugene finally turns his full attention to Friedrich. Calmly, almost politely, he says that if Friedrich has business with them, he'll hear it out. Friedrich, meanwhile, is scrolling through his phone like he's bored out of his mind. Being ignored like this is apparently new for him. He scoffs. Business? He didn't have any. But something is bothering him. Eugene spoke earlier like they had history. Friedrich doesn't remember ever meeting some gross-looking nobody like him. Eugene answers casually. Of course he wouldn't remember. It's been about 30 years. Back when Friedrich stormed into Eugene's master's place, threw a tantrum, got scolded, and ran away, Friedrich's smile twists with rage. Scolded? Ran away? Interesting choice of words. Then his killing intent erupts. Why is it that every brat raised by Ca Jung Wee Hyuk has such a filthy mouth? The surge of power he releases is suffocating. It makes tearing them apart feel that much more satisfying. Behind Eugene, Ain panics. Is he insane? That's Friedrich, a monster on the same level as the Grand Mages. He saved her just to get them both killed. Before she can finish, Eugene grabs her by the shoulder and pulls her close. Instead of fear, Eugene smiles. This actually works out well. Friedrich is far too dangerous to just leave roaming free. Then the world seems to darken around them as Eugene keeps speaking. And showing Ain this kind of situation firsthand will make it unforgettable. He tells her to watch closely. For Eugene Magic Academy's very first student, Zhang Ain. This is the official start of Teacher Eugene's Grand Mage Curriculum. Orientation. Ain freezes. She's never seen magic like this, not even close. That bizarre, twisted rune floating between Eugene's hands, is that even magic? It looks like something that shouldn't exist. Eugene answers her unspoken panic with a cheerful, "Of course it's magic, Ek." Since she's completely defenseless, he's casting it to shield her from the old man's spells. His smile turns terrifying as the two strange runes pulse between his palms. A protective layer wraps around Ain. Body protection magic. Eugene tells her to step back, then casually asks if she knows how much mana the spell consumed. Ain answers automatically. Of course she knows. Aegis is the protection spell she always uses. Eugene immediately shoots her down. The correct answer? Not even a single drop. She stares, speechless. He explains that she shouldn't stress about losing her heart's mana because even he has 0 mana in his heart. What he's about to show her, and what he'll teach her from now on, is how to use magic without using mana at all. Ain watches him close the distance with Friedrich, her doubts swirling. Can they really win like this? Friedrich, sizing Eugene up, decides to observe. A close-range type with confidence? Fine. Let's see what he can do. Eugene fires off a 2-run spell, Binding Vine Rope. Friedrich tries to block with his barrier, the same one Ain couldn't scratch even with high-powered spells. But it shatters like cheap glass. The vines restrain him. Ain is stunned. Even Friedrich has to admit the spell structure is solid, better than Jung Wee Hyuk's work even. He breaks free and dodges Eugene's follow-up attack, unimpressed. Impressive? Sure, but not enough to justify provoking me. Friedrich blasts Eugene's head off with a fire spell, then casually notes how rare such extreme regeneration is. Ain watches with dread. Regeneration is powerful, yes, but this is Friedrich. If anyone can outplay it, it's him. And he proves it by reaching straight through Eugene's half-regrown torso, searching for the regeneration core. He plans to disintegrate Eugene from the inside out, molecule by molecule. Then Friedrich freezes. Eugene is holding the black lightning erupting from his hand, holding it like it's nothing. This lightning is pure mana-based destruction. Touching it should melt anything into scattered molecules. You can't just grab it like a weed. What kind of magic is this guy using? Fine. Friedrich floods Eugene's entire body with the same lightning. But Eugene regenerates instantly and grabs Friedrich's arm. Gotcha. Friedrich scoffs. He's grabbing the 12 layers of high-density protection spells, not his real arm. Eugene doesn't stop. Layer after layer crumbles under his grip until Friedrich stares in disbelief. This is bad. Very, very bad. Then the scene cuts to Eugene smiling, holding Friedrich's severed arm. He scolds him for cutting it off. Couldn't he just leave it? Friedrich is drowning in humiliation. Even when he fought Jung Wee Hyuk, his defenses were never pierced this pathetically. What kind of insane magic is this? In the middle of exchanging deadly blows with Friedrich, Eugene suddenly calls out to An, like they're chatting over tea instead of fighting a legendary mage. An snaps back, confused. Huh, yeah? Eugene apologizes mid-battle. He wanted to properly show off more manaless magic, but he doesn't exactly have the luxury right now. Still, he'll explain quickly. She saw one of these techniques earlier, right? He breaks it down, freely altering your body's structure, transforming anything that touches your hands. Strictly speaking, it isn't magic at all. The name of the technique she's going to learn from now on is Magic Without Runes, Murin Magic. Friedrich fires off a spell, massive flames swallowing Eugene whole. He watches, disgust stirring in his chest. Since earlier something has been corroding his judgment, Eugene bursts out of the flames unfazed and charges. Friedrich barely dodges. He tries to focus. Is it the pain from losing his arm? No. It's the bewilderment caused by this freakish, unknown magic Eugene keeps using. While flying, Friedrich casts a massive spell, countless fireballs, each marked with an ominous staring eye. He launches the swarm straight at Eugene. Eugene doesn't dodge. The explosions engulf him, obliterating the area where he stood. Floating above the burning crater, Friedrich sinks deeper into his thoughts. Ever since the fight began, something inside him keeps rising. Disgust. Revulsion. Like he's facing something fundamentally wrong. A hand suddenly reaches out from the molten lava. Eugene, regenerating and laughing nonstop. Friedrich's stomach twists. This thing, this man, shouldn't exist. He fires dark lightning at Eugene, shouting for him to stop giggling. Ain watches from below, terrified. Uncle Eugene. Meanwhile, Friedrich is still trying to convince himself this isn't happening. Him, Friedrich Gamora, losing to a disciple of Jung Wei Hyuk, to this inexplicable monster. Then Eugene appears directly behind him. His hand twists around Friedrich's body in an unnatural arc and grabs his heart. For the first time, the thing filling Friedrich isn't pride, or logic, or irritation. It's fear. Eugene grins. That was hilarious, right? Sorry like this. The more I use magic, the more my brain itches. Can't help it. Ain watches, heart pounding. Is it over? Ain lets out a shaky breath. Even if Eugene said he'd be fine, she couldn't stop worrying something might go wrong. But he actually beat Friedrich. Friedrich stares at the heart in Eugene's hand, almost impressed. Never thought I'd get to see my own heart up close. If I say I let my guard down, will you buy it? Eugene shrugs. Oh, so you were off guard? I'm not a combat magic specialist, so I wouldn't know. But if you insist, sure, I'll believe you. Friedrich snorts. Seeing you spout snark until the bitter end, you're definitely Jung Wei Hyuk's student. Eugene's expression shifts colder. He remembers it. One gesture from that old man, and his city crumbled. People screaming, burning under collapsing ruins. His voice hardens. Someone like you should never be allowed to use magic. He tightens his grip. I'll have to end. The mage Friedrich, right here. Friedrich smirks, acting as if he's the calm one here. He admits it. Eugene earned the right to talk big. He won this round. Then, with a warped sense of humor, Friedrich offers a souvenir, a war trophy. Before Eugene can react, Friedrich slices off the entire hand holding his heart, then instantly reappears in front of him. Eugene freezes. My God, right before losing the heart, Friedrich flooded all the mana into his bloodstream. This guy is even more dangerous than expected. Friedrich screams a name. Shori! Eugene lunges forward, single-focused thought pounding inside him. He's too dangerous to let go. But a hand suddenly pulls Friedrich away, and a mysterious spell carves Eugene's body into pieces. Eugene's limbs knit back together almost instantly, but one thought flashes in his mind like a warning bell. Spatial magic. A girl stands beside Friedrich, cold, composed, unfazed by the destruction. She scolds him. He said he was going to meet Jung Wei Hyuk, right? Then who was that monster they just fought? One arm missing, heart ripped out. He's a mess. She decides they're leaving immediately, but Friedrich waves her off. Hold on, because Eugene is charging at them again. Friedrich smirks. Thanks to Eugene, he's had some realizations, and there's something he wants to test. He activates a 3-run spell. Schmelztiegel der Laie, and an invisible slash cuts Eugene's cheek. Eugene freezes. Friedrich steps through a spatial gate, speaking casually. He doesn't say this often, but thanks. Got an unexpected big haul. He promises a bigger, more entertaining stage next time, a proper rematch. And with manic laughter echoing, he disappears. Eugene wipes the blood off his cheek and freezes. It isn't healing. For the first time, a wound stays. Ain runs up, voice trembling. Is it over? He ran away, right? Oh my God, I can't believe it. She can barely breathe. You beat Friedrich, the strongest mage, without borrowing a grand mage's power. Eugene plays it down. Luck, timing, Friedrich letting his guard down. Good thing it ended before time was up, he thinks quietly. Ain doesn't buy it. No way that old monster would admit defeat. But she beams anyway. Uncle Eugene won. Eugene places a hand on her shoulder. Everything the teacher could do, and more, he promises she'll be able to do too. As the disciple of the greatest grand mage, he'll make her the second greatest. But only if she stays safe. Only if she cherishes her life. Ain stares at him, heart tight. He hasn't changed at all. Yes, Teacher Eugene, I promise. The scene shifts to Jung Wei Hyuk receiving the report. Friedrich appeared. Huge battle traces. No civilian casualties. The other mage hesitates on the next part. Jung Wei Hyuk sighs, already guessing. Ain, probably? Yeah, she went after all. Even if he knew, could he have stopped her? He doesn't need her to risk her life to prove her worth. As a father, he's interrupted. During Ain's fight with Friedrich, Eugene intervened. Friedrich fled. Ain is safe. Jung Wei Hyuk freezes. Eugene is back? Under harsh surgical lights, Friedrich lies open on the table while 3 people work desperately to keep him alive. One assistant hesitates, voice shaking, questioning whether saving this man, a known terrorist, is even right. The lead surgeon doesn't miss a beat. She fires back coldly, reminding him that after being kidnapped into their hideout, moral debates can wait. If he wants to leave alive, he'd better focus on the surgery. No arguments, just orders. A strange woman appears out of nowhere, dragging someone along. She addresses Friedrich with reverence. Elder. The surgeon reports his condition, barely alive, but still holding on. Good, the woman replies. It's enough to begin. The man she brought forward greets Friedrich calmly. Friedrich responds by activating a spell. Friedrich looks at Linus, guilt bleeding through his weak voice. He acknowledges all the messes Linus cleaned up, the burden he carried. Linus, already mortally wounded, answers without regret. Serving Friedrich was an honor. His chest is blown open by magic. One arm is severed. Still standing, still loyal. Linus offers what remains of himself for Friedrich's cause. The doctors confirm it clinically. Friedrich's son's heart and right arm have been secured. Transplant surgery will proceed immediately. Friedrich struggles to speak, ordering the strange woman to give Linus a proper funeral once everything is done. The doctor cuts him off. Talking will kill him faster. Ignoring the warning, Friedrich gives his next command. Zodiac, assemble everyone. Something has changed in him. As Friedrich fades in and out, he recalls Jung Uihyok's words about weak, insignificant lives and the terrifying mage that might rise among them. Back in the operating room, Friedrich admits it. The times have changed. Mages have changed. And whatever comes next won't follow the path Jung Uihyok imagined. Elsewhere, Ain calmly sips coffee for the first time. Bitter, nutty, underwhelming but impossible before, thanks to her heart condition. Now, she feels better than she ever has. Her subordinates can barely believe they survived. Recovery magic saved them, unexpectedly delivered by Eugene, crashing into the ER like a lunatic hero, terrifying everyone in the process. Ain brushes it off. That unpredictability is just who he is. Ain confirms it. She's shutting things down. She's no longer a mage and can't take commissions. For now, the truth will stay hidden. Official story after effects from the battle with Friedrich. She's going abroad to recover. In reality, she'll be staying quietly with Eugene while he helps her regain her magic, however long that takes. Her subordinates don't say it out loud, but they see it. She looks calmer now than she ever did at her peak. They reflect silently. Ain was always sharp, cold, obsessed with results. Now, there's a peace about her, and they know exactly who's responsible. Calling Eugene instead of Grand Mage Jung Uihyok had felt like a gamble. Now, it feels inevitable. The door slams open. Someone charges in, grabs Ain in a hug, and completely loses it. Retirement? Impossible. The world can't handle Mage Jung Ain disappearing. Ain sighs. Again, it's not retirement, it's rehab. The panic only escalates. He'll follow her abroad, take care of her, do anything. Until another subordinate yanks him back by the neck and shuts that down fast. A repaired hat is returned to Ain, its magic restored as much as possible. She accepts it without complaint, thanking everyone sincerely one by one. She reassures Yunye she would have gone that day no matter what. She thanks Wei Myung quietly, deeply, because without him, she wouldn't be here at all. Ain finishes saying her goodbyes, apologizing for dragging everyone down with her shortcomings. She tells them plainly, people with their talent deserve bigger stages and better roles. She promises she'll work herself to the bone, recover properly, and return as a mage they can truly be proud of. As she walks alone through the city, her thoughts turn light for the first time in a long while. She's excited. No more agonizing over how to end things. Eugene proved himself, and more importantly, he promised to make her just as capable as he is, maybe even stronger. Standing before Eugene's academy, she exhales. Her future is secured. This time, she'll trust him. Ain steps inside and calls Eugene's name. He looks genuinely surprised. Apparently, traffic was kind today. That surprise vanishes fast when Ain reminds him she explicitly asked for her arrival to remain a secret. Too late. A detective politely introduces himself, clearly starstruck. Ain returns the greeting with a professional smile, then turns slowly back to Eugene, biting her lip. So, he's been talking about her. Eugene, completely unrepentant, cheerfully explains that the man is Detective Kim Seung-hee, his teacher's friend, and very reliable. Nothing to worry about. Kim Seung-hee immediately senses danger and tries to excuse himself. Before Kim can escape, he reassures Ain that he won't say a word about her heart condition. Eugene casually adds that he could have stayed longer. That's when Ain snaps. As Eugene stands to walk the detective out, Ain grabs him firmly by the jaw and pulls him back. Her smile is sweet. Her tone is not. She reminds him publicly she's recovering overseas. If word gets out that the famous mage Zhang Ain, daughter of the Grand Mage, is powerless and hiding out in Seoul, every villain with a death wish will come running. Eugene stammers. He swears Kim's trustworthy. Ain does not look convinced. Outside the blast radius, Kim Sung-hee pauses, lost in thought. So this is Zhang Ain. Growing up with that face, maybe that's what made her so tough. At least, he notes, she has someone close to her. He opens the door and freezes. Someone is standing right outside. He stammers Eugene's name, announcing that a guest has arrived. Ain, clearly done with responsibility, jokes bitterly that the academy might as well throw a full-blown Jung-un visit celebration party at this point. She washes her hands of it, declaring she'll wait outside until they're finished. But as she turns, she notices it. Eugene's expression has completely changed. The lightness is gone. His face is dark, tense, serious in a way that makes An stop cold. Whoever just arrived is not someone he wanted to see. The visitor casually lifts Ain's hat, clicking his tongue. Hiding a face like that, he says, is a waste. Ain whips around instantly, eyes sharp, voice snapping, hands off. For a split second, pure instinct flares. How dare anyone touch her, of all people, without knowing their place? Then she freezes. The man just smiles, pleased. See? Total waste. He studies her openly, amused and impressed, calling her gorgeous with shameless ease. Long time no see. He asks how her body's holding up. Ain's face burns red. Her words stumble out, small and awkward. She answers honestly, then quietly calls him father. She apologizes, admitting she never thought he'd come to a place like this. Her father laughs it off. Places like this are exactly where he should be. After all, this is where his precious firstborn is starting over, at an academy run by his proud disciple. The camera lingers on Eugene. His face is swallowed in shadow, expression unreadable. The Grand Mage turns to him casually, calling his name, noting that he's grown taller. The narration finally lands the truth with full weight. Zhang Wei-hyuk, Grand Mage. Eugene stands stiff, sweat beating down his face as Zhang Wei-hyuk speaks casually, almost fondly. So, he met Friedrich. That man is still wandering around, wasting his life, not acting his age. Zhang Wei-hyuk even laughs it off, wondering if Friedrich's rebellion simply came late. Then thanks, quiet, sincere. Zhang Wei-hyuk tells Eugene he heard about everything, about how he saved Ain's life. He praises his daughter, smart, kind, but reckless, and he admits it worries him. Finally, the words land like a weight on Eugene's chest. He's glad Eugene is his disciple. Eugene's thoughts spiral instantly. Not here, not now. Ain's watching. Stay calm, hold it in. This was inevitable. He always knew he'd have to face this moment. A flash rips through him. Zhang Wei-hyuk standing over him, his body torn apart, his heart in Zhang Wei-hyuk's hand. The memory snaps. Eugene lunges forward. Instead of violence, Eugene wraps Zhang Wei-hyuk in a sudden, tight embrace. He speaks fast, rambling, like he's afraid to stop. He knows he doesn't deserve this, knows it's childish, but he couldn't hold back. He missed him. So much it scared him. He was afraid Zhang Wei-hyuk wouldn't want to see him again. That fear kept him away all this time. So please, just for a second, let him stay like this. Zhang Wei-hyuk smiles, resting into it. Even taller now, Eugene is still just a kid. Sensing he should disappear, Detective Kim Sung-hee tries to slip away quietly. Zhang Wei-hyuk stops him by name. Kim freezes. He knows him? Of course he does. Zhang Wei-hyuk praises him, working tirelessly for public safety, taking good care of Eugene. As Eugene's master, he thanks him sincerely. Kim's brain short-circuits. Red-faced, barely functioning, he excuses himself. This man is on a completely different level, he thinks. In an insane way. Zhang Wei-hyuk turns back to Ain, asking directly if she's lost her magic. She confirms it. Now it makes sense why she came to Eugene for help. Still, he tells her gently, if something this serious happened, she could have come to him first. Ain rushes to explain. It's not about trust. Zhang Wei-hyuk cuts in warmly. She can trust Eugene. He's the disciple Zhang Wei-hyuk trusts the most. Maybe he can help her even more than her father can. So Zhang Wei-hyuk steps aside. There's just one thing left to do. A parent-teacher conference. He tells Ain to wait a moment. And then, both he and Eugene vanish without warning, leaving the air behind them unnervingly still. Zhang Wei-hyuk speaks calmly, almost amused. He admits it. He was genuinely surprised. After ripping out Eugene's heart, tearing his body apart, and throwing the pieces into a dimensional rift, survival should have been impossible. Yet here Eugene is, always exceeding expectations. As he speaks, the memory becomes reality. Eugene's body is suspended in the air, sliced into pieces, bound by glowing golden wires. Zhang Wei-hyuk wonders aloud, what kind of price did Eugene pay to come back from that? Eugene answers casually, as if recounting an accident. In the rift, decay stopped. He fell into a near-death state and simply endured. That answer doesn't satisfy Jung Wee-hyuk. There's something else he wants to know. Jung Wee-hyuk asks the real question. Even after everything, does Eugene still refuse to move for him? Eugene doesn't hesitate. He calls him master. Not just the day he was saved from death, but every single day after that, living beside him, learning from him. Eugene says it plainly. Living for Jung Wee-hyuk became his only goal. How could he ever hate him? If that's what his master needs, he would gladly die for him again, right here. For once, Jung Wee-hyuk sounds certain. No matter how he thinks about it, it has to be Eugene. So he asks again, just once more. Eugene exhales. He remembers saying it 14 years ago, and his answer hasn't changed. That plan of Jung Wee-hyuk's is still unbearably, unimaginably creepy. He'll help with anything else. Anything. Just not that. Jung Wee-hyuk laughs, waving it off. Rejected twice now. If he had to listen to excuses on top of that, he'd feel pathetic. He admits it freely. He already gave up on that day long ago. He'll settle for the next best thing. Then his curiosity sharpens again. If Eugene has no magic power, how is he causing phenomena like this? How did he survive something fatal? Eugene brightens. Oh, this? He calls it wheelless magic. A system he built from scratch magic that doesn't rely on innate power. Something even people with no magic, or barely any at all, can use if they study and work hard enough. And for his first student, he chooses Ain. He'll teach her wheelless magic. He'll help her become a grand mage through it. And when future mages look up to Grand Mage Jung Ain, he'll raise countless kind, capable mages who protect the world. This is his dream. A gentle world, full of magic. A future built to protect people's happiness and hopes. Eugene finishes softly. If that dream comes true, Jung Wee-hyuk won't need to carry out his plan at all. Jung Wee-hyuk listens and smiles. Vague, fluffy, optimistic. He likes it. It's unmistakably Eugene. His plan still doesn't appeal to him, but that's fine. He tells Eugene to take good care of Ain, to teach her well and raise her into a grand mage. Even if Eugene won't help with his plan, as long as he doesn't stand in the way, Jung Wee-hyuk will support his dream too. It's a shame, he says lightly. Eugene gave him hope, then crushed it just as completely. Still, Eugene is the only one who ever shook Grand Mage Jung Wee-hyuk this much. Eugene speaks again, voice steady. Not master. Ain's father. The expectations Jung Wee-hyuk once placed on him, he asks him to pour them onto Ain instead. In an instant, Eugene and Jung Wee-hyuk reappear before Ain. She gasps, calling out to her father. He jokes gently that they talk for a while. Ain hurriedly says she wasn't waiting long at all. Jung Wee-hyuk asks her something important. It's been about 14 years since she could properly use magic, hasn't it? Yes, about that long. He admits the truth. Watching her risk her life just to meet his expectations hurt him deeply. What he really wanted was for her to find her own dreams as a mage. Ain starts to speak, then stops. Jung Wee-hyuk pulls her into a hug. He tells her clearly, before being the proud disciple of Grand Mage Jung Wee-hyuk, Ain is his most beloved firstborn daughter. No matter what goals she chases, no matter how hard she works or what she achieves, she must never forget that. He hopes she finds goals truly worth pouring her heart into. Ain answers through trembling emotion. She'll do her best. Jung Wee-hyuk turns to him at last. Director Eugene, please take good care of his Ain. Eugene bows without hesitation, answering firmly. Leave her to him. As Jung Wee-hyuk departs, Ain's thoughts echo. My most beloved daughter, her father's gaze still lingers. She snaps back to reality. Business mode on. Now, let's talk about tuition fees. Eugene calmly lays out Ain's required curriculum in front of Jung Wee-hyuk, pointing through the details like this is the most normal thing in the world. Ain snaps out of her emotional haze instantly. Wait, hold on. He's charging money? Eugene blinks, genuinely confused by her reaction. Of course he is. She's enrolling in the academy. Tuition is only natural. Ain stares at him, betrayed. He said he'd help. He made it sound like this was personal, like he'd teach her for free. Eugene counters smoothly. He even prepared a special personalized course, just for her. If he didn't charge tuition, the other students might complain about favoritism. Ain can only gape, brain briefly blue screening. Before Ain can fully spiral, her father steps in. Compared to other academies, the price is cheap. He'll pay, so there's nothing to worry about. That's when Ain pushes back, hard. No, she's 22 years old, an adult. She has money from her activities, and she should be the one to pay. Jung Wee-hyuk laughs softly, clearly impressed. When did she grow up to be this capable? The scene slips into the past. Ain's manager reports efficiently. Every piece of magic gear sold. Contracts canceled with full penalties paid. 5 years of donations secured for their sponsored welfare groups. Then the severance. Is it really necessary to give this much? Even dipping deep into her personal savings will leave her almost. Ain cuts him off. Those fees and donations matter. They can't let this stain anyone's career. At the very least, this is the duty she owes the people who work so hard for her. Inside, she admits the truth. She sold the house, moved into a rented room. Money's tight now, but as long as she cuts unnecessary spending, she'll manage. Better to cleanly settle everything, for her sake, and for her father's reputation. Back in the present, Ain breaks down, tears spilling over as the weight finally hits her. Ain's father answers a call mid-conversation. Zodiac, something's come up. With an apologetic smile, he opens his car door and tells them lunch will have to wait until next time. Duty calls, and it's urgent. Eugene takes it in stride, already promising to find a great place for them all to eat together later. Ain tells her father not to worry and to get home safely. From the driver's seat, he waves casually, telling them to get along well, watch their health, and call anytime they need him. Then, just like that, he's gone. Eugene watches the empty space and snorts. He could teleport anywhere, yet he still came by car. Even grand mages have their quirks. Ain, meanwhile, sulks internally. Why did he say Eugene's name first? With the tension gone, Eugene turns to her. Why not grab lunch together? Does she still like to17? Ain nods. Cheap is fine. With all these unexpected expenses, she can't afford anything fancy. Eugene waves it off immediately. Lunch is on the teacher. Money's not a concern. They'll eat and talk. Specifically, they'll talk about preparing Ain to become a grand mage. They settle into a modest restaurant. Eugene reminisces about a snack bar that used to exist under the academy, gone just weeks after he signed the lease. Casually, he asks about Ain's major. Combat magic, right? Ain answers between bites. Eat first, talk later. Yes, combat magic. Not because she enjoys fighting, but because pushing magic to its limits through real combat is the fastest way to grow stronger. Eugene agrees. Most outstanding mages come from combat-focused paths. Still, he admits he doesn't want to teach her dangerously. But wheelless magic was born from exactly that kind of extreme situation. For now, Eugene promises something important. He'll always be right beside her, watching over her. They'll study and train in controlled environments. Ain finally asks the question that's been burning. What exactly is wheelless magic? How do you practice it, and how does it turn someone into a grand mage? Eugene grins. As they walk through the streets, Eugene explains. Wheelless magic connects one's consciousness to all perceived and contacted matter and phenomena, allowing transformation and reconstruction at will. Once mastered, it doesn't just alter the body. It can change the properties, form, and mass of anything you touch. Ain stares at him. If she hadn't seen it herself, she'd think this was cult nonsense. No mana, no visible principle. How is this even possible? Eugene nods. Normal senses aren't enough. There are prerequisites. The first, perception beyond perception. Books slam down in front of Ain. Stacks of them. Eugene announces it proudly. Scientific understanding of the structures and properties of everything in the universe. Step 1. Memorize all of it. Perfectly. Just memorization. Nothing difficult. Ain picks one up, scanning the titles. Molecular structures, thermodynamics, human anatomy and physiology. These are books for scientists, doctors, researchers. Even specialists don't memorize these word for word, and some are in entirely different languages. She's memorized mana structures and magic circuits before, but this is completely outside her field. Eugene tilts his head. 2 weeks should be enough, right? Ain freezes. 2 weeks, 14 days. He apologizes lightly, saying he knows she wants to rush into real combat training, but the first step can't be rushed. He mentions reading this stuff when he was 6, nostalgic about studying back then. Ain listens in stunned silence. He's serious. He really thinks memorizing all this is no big deal. The gap between her and her father's proudest disciple hits her full force. And just like that, she feels herself starting from zero again. Eugene casually mentions it took him about 3 weeks, maybe a month, to memorize everything. Since Ain is his master's daughter, he figured 2 weeks would be more than enough. Ain instantly fires back with exaggerated confidence. Of course it is. She's the bloodline of humanity's greatest intellect, Grand Mage Jung Wee Hyuk. 2 weeks for plain memorization would be too long. The words leave her mouth before her brain catches up. What am I even saying? Eugene chuckles, amused by her enthusiasm, and tells her not to rush. If she follows his carefully planned curriculum step by step, it'll take about 27 years and 7 months to become a grand mage. Ain freezes. Eugene notices immediately and tilts his head, asking what's wrong. Ain shakes it off, saying it's nothing. Inside, her thoughts spiral. 27 years, her expectations were warped by Eugene's absurd magic. No grand mage has ever reached that level in under a century. Even her father took over 100 years. It was such a distant, abstract goal that she'd never even considered a timeline. Aine exhales and reframes it. 27 years is actually insanely short. Becoming a grand mage isn't urgent anyway. What she really wants to know is this: how long will it take to regain her original level of magic skill? Eugene asks her to clarify. What level exactly? Top-tier sorcerer combat mage. She was on the verge of promotion to mystic. Eugene nods thoughtfully, while internally panicking. Sorcerer? Mystic? What are those? Better not let it show. He'll look it up later. He tells her he planned to address that after she memorized the books, but working on it in parallel is fine. Aine blinks, confused. Do what? Eugene explains gently. She must feel uneasy, being unable to use the magic she was once good at. Aine tries to deny it, fumbling over her words. That's when Eugene finally finds what he was looking for: his coat. Before mastering wheelless magic, Eugene explains, she needs two things: to train her sense of magic usage, and a way to cast magic without internal mana. The solution? They're going to get a partner, something that acts as pseudo-mana. The scene shifts to the rooftop as Eugene lays his coat on the ground. He casually mentions that about 14 years ago, he had to travel to another dimension. Back then, his condition was terrible. After an accident, he drifted through dimensional rifts on the brink of death until he reached another world. Drawing inspiration from the properties of its native creatures, and with their help, he invented wheelless magic and saved his life. Those native creatures were classified as fairies. Now, he's about to open a gate to that fairy world. He asks Aine if she remembers his warnings. She immediately recites them while removing her jacket. Don't let go of the rope, don't fall asleep, only look ahead and keep going. Eugene smiles. Good, they're ready. The air darkens as he activates his magic. The cut on his neck twists unnaturally, his skin unraveling into strange wire-like forms. Wheelless magic. A massive hole tears open inside the coat. A dimensional gate. Fairy realm. Aine watches in stunned silence. Even seeing it with her own eyes, it's too ridiculous to believe. Magic without mana is one thing, but dimensional gate magic normally requires dozens of elite, high-mana mages and national budget-level resources just to keep it open for minutes. The more she learns, the more distant her goal feels. Eugene tells her calmly to grip the rope tightly and stay calm. Everything will be fine. Inside, Aine steels herself. To become a grand mage, she has to surpass magic even greater than this monster's. She asks if he's really just going to call Eugene's name and let the fairies handle everything. Eugene laughs. He's extremely close with the locals. The coat he's wearing? A gift from them. He apologizes for sending her alone. It has to be this way to keep the gate open. Aine nods. If Eugene says it's fine, then it's fine. There's nothing to be scared of. She'll be quick. Gripping the rope tightly, Aine jumps straight into the dimensional gate. Back on the rooftop, Eugene watches IA disappear into the gate and mutters with a crooked smile that the kid really has no fear. At that exact moment, another presence appears. On the rooftop of a nearby building, Choi Yi-seok materializes, looking down at the scene with open suspicion. He sneers that it's happening right on the rooftop, clearly something shady again. In his mind, the rumors are obvious. Jung Ain was supposedly defeated by that monster and fled overseas, shutting down her company out of fear. Wandering around relying only on her skills, taking no precautions. Of course she ended up like that. And the idea that Friedrich Gamora lost to Jung Ain and ran away? Laughable. Lies should at least be believable. No matter how talented she was, how could she have survived against the strongest mage? Choi Yi-seok clenches his fist. Capturing that monster will avenge the humiliation of that day and finally erase his inferiority complex toward that woman. One of his subordinates hesitates and speaks up. Eugene isn't even wanted by the association or the police yet. Isn't this basically attacking an innocent person? Choi Yi-seok snaps back immediately. Innocent? How many times does he have to explain? They haven't faced that monster up close, so they don't understand. It's not just the hideous appearance, it's a threat to the world simply by existing. Magic, but not magic. A horrific phenomenon. The revolting sensation of something that shouldn't exist standing right in front of you. The next panel reveals the truth behind his obsession. Those memories still haunt him. He can't even sleep. Does anyone think he wants to attack it for fun? He claims this is his duty, to make sure civilians never experience the same horror he did, and to preemptively eliminate a monster that will surely cause disaster even if it remains dormant. That's what combat mages are supposed to believe. One subordinate thinks silently that they were never taught anything like that. Another voices a more practical concern. If Eugene really took down Jong-un like Choi claims, then bitter as it is, he might be beyond what they can handle. At least sorcerer level, maybe higher. Choi Yi-sok scoffs. Getting cold feet after one loss, he reminds them that they were wrecked by Jong-un because she charged straight in head-on, with surprise, preparation, experience, and intel. Against a vastly superior mage, there's always a chance. He turned sharply to one man. Songtai. Did he prepare the anti-regenerative beast counter from Northern Europe? He invested a fortune into this, after all. Songtai answers confidently, no worries. The spell was designed to capture regenerative beasts even when sliced into 100 pieces, let alone regeneration achieved through human magic. Satisfied, Choi Yi-seok gives the order. Everyone is to cast reinforcement spells in advance. Positions and roles are to be followed exactly. It's time to begin. In his inner thoughts, Choi Yi-seok's ambition surfaces clearly. If they clean up Grand Mage Jung Wee-hyok's mistake, their academy standing in the alliance will skyrocket. This is payback. The scene abruptly shifts. Ain is wedged into a suffocatingly tight space, surrounded on all sides by strange, twisted creatures. Their warped bodies press in close, their eyes lock directly onto her. Her thoughts tremble. At least, fairies? So that's why Eugene was vague. Teacher Eugene, her realization hits like ice water. This is no fairy, and this is no realm. Ain forces herself to breathe. She tells herself to stay calm. These organisms, whatever they are, fill almost every inch of the space, yet strangely there isn't much pressure. Her breathing isn't obstructed. She repeats Eugene's instructions in her head like a lifeline. Never let go of the rope. Never fall asleep. Only move forward. Clutching the rope tightly, Ain realizes this thin line is the only connection between her original world and this nightmare. She grimaces, annoyed at herself. She should have tied it to her wrist and jumped in properly. Still, she steadies herself and presses on. Luckily, she can move. As she walks, her body sinks slightly into the environment, like wading through thick jelly. It's unpleasant, but manageable, for now. The more Ain breathes, the worse she feels. Nausea creeps in. Her head starts to cloud. She silently curses Eugene for not warning her about the environmental conditions. Just because he is fine with this doesn't mean everyone else is. The creatures around her don't seem actively hostile, but they mutter constantly. Voices without meaning, yet deeply unsettling. If they attacked her, she'd have no way to fight back. Her only option is to keep moving forward until she finds the so-called communicable fairy Eugene mentioned. Her thoughts spiral. Her head feels like it's going to burst. Which way was forward again? Her thinking slows. This isn't good. Her brain isn't working properly. She remembers the warning, but the words blur. Don't fall asleep. Her body feels like it's melting. Her senses fade. She grows unbearably sleepy. Back in the real world, Eugene casually keeps one hand pressed against the coat, maintaining the dimensional connection. He chuckles to himself. This is fun, he thinks. Honestly, if Academy promotional videos were this entertaining, more people would watch them. Laughing while watching is easy, but making others laugh is hard. He starts to ramble about Ain being young and knowing current trends, when suddenly, a blast of fire slams into his head. The impact nearly breaks his contact with the coat. His hand flies off for a split second. But he immediately presses it back again. His heart skips. That was close. Blue lightning crashes down from above. Choi Yi-seok appears mid-air, striking Eugene, and instantly retreating. He greets him casually, asking if he's been well. 3 subordinates appear behind Choi as he speaks about losing sleep over Eugene, about finally being able to rest easy starting tonight. Behind him, the subordinates murmur among themselves. Seeing Eugene up close, they finally understand. As Eugene regenerates from the attack, the scene darkens. One subordinate feels a chilling sensation crawl across their skin, scraping every nerve. Clearly, this thing is a monster. All 3 activate their magic, united by the same thought. That must be erased from this world. Eugene, still holding the coat tightly, processes the situation. Director Yi-seok Choi, losing sleep over him? That's uncomfortable. He thought the misunderstanding had already been cleared up. Why is Choi acting like this all of a sudden? A memory surfaces. A young Eugene stands holding a book, asking his master why approval procedures for powerful magic are so complicated. If regulations are this strict, wouldn't beneficial research and inventions be delayed? Jung Wee-hyok answers calmly. Magic that can greatly impact the world dimensional travel, summoning, if used freely without oversight, could indeed advance progress. But human malice knows no bottom. That's why wielding magic for good requires authority and the recognition of many. Eugene is safe for now because he has Yui Hyok's guarantee as an Archmage. But there may come a time when that protection is gone. So Eugene must build reputation and authority so people can trust him. Back in the present, Eugene's eyes sharpen. Portal magic. Choi must have used dimensional magic to find him, without Union permission. He looks genuinely confused as he addresses him politely. Director Choi? He says he'll accept punishment for his rash actions later, but stopping this spell right now would be very problematic. Choi gestures. One mage behind him activates a 2-ring composite spell. Before Eugene can finish speaking, Choi and his subordinates charge in. Fire slams into Eugene's back. He realizes Choi isn't just angry, he's furious, law-abiding to the extreme. Eugene tries to calm him, asking him to listen, but his hand is suddenly severed mid-sentence. He sighs inwardly. Mages these days really are violent. They probably know he won't be hurt, but still. Fine. First step, regeneration. Then, Eugene notices something is wrong. The cut inflicted by the female mage isn't regenerating. Choi Seok sneers, asking if Eugene is finally at a loss, if he can't keep his head straight anymore. Behind Eugene, one of the mages maintains a spell specifically designed to suppress recovery. Choi explains calmly, almost proudly, a recovery-blocking spell, learned from Nordic monster hunters through one of his prized disciples. It's advanced magic, capable of stopping everything from organic tissue regeneration via mana to even the self-repair of inorganic matter. Eugene's disgusting regeneration, he declares, is finished. Inside, Eugene can't help but be impressed. It's a lower-tier version of the restoration block his own master used on him during their recent private meeting. The structure is simpler, the performance weaker, but clean, efficient, and usable by ordinary mages. A well-designed spell. But this is absolutely not the time to admire it. Normally, he could tear through something like this with soft magic. Right now, however, most of his processing power is devoted to maintaining the portal. If he stops the spell or loses the use of his hands, his thoughts flash to Ain, trapped alone in another dimension. If her connection is severed, everything will spiral out of control. Desperate, Eugene turns to Choi and begs him. This isn't about his own safety. Choi doesn't listen. He shouts the order. Everyone attacks at once. Eugene is branded a monster that won't die even if chopped to pieces. Choi commands them to crush him with maximum firepower. Chaos erupts. 2 mages strike from behind. One slams blue energy into Eugene's head, while another cleaves him apart with a blazing fire sword. Through it all, Eugene desperately tries to speak, refusing to let go of the connection that keeps Ain alive. He shouts for them to wait, just a moment. His head and hands are strictly off limits. He begs them to stop. They don't. A massive explosion consumes the rooftop. Ain drifts on the edge of sleep, until a voice cuts through the haze. Wake up. Her eyes snap open. A strange creature speaks calmly, relieved that she's regained consciousness. It admits without apology that it adjusted her brain without permission to force adaptation. In this world, losing consciousness without adaptation means melting into the space itself. It also scolds her gently. She nearly let go of the rope. That rope is her way home. The creature says it called out to her for quite a while, but she never responded. It almost thought she was a lost child who drifted in unprepared. Ain stares at the being in shock. Is this a resident of the fairy realm? Realization hits her. The murmuring voices from earlier were real conversations. Because of their appearance, she never realized they were intelligent, communicative beings. She hurriedly thanks them and explains she didn't come by mistake. With Eugene's help, she crossed over to this world. She was told she could receive help from Eugene's friends. The creature pauses. Eugene? Suddenly, all of them react. That Eugene? Did Eugene really send her? They smell Eugene on her, and the fact that she made it here at all confirms it. Ain's heart sinks. This reaction, something is wrong. Before she can process it, the creatures grab her and carry her away. Ain panics internally, unsure how to interpret their excitement. One of them questions her words. Friends, Eugene and them, they tell her flatly. She's greatly mistaken. Anyone who's truly experienced Eugene couldn't possibly misunderstand. Eugene is not their friend. She'll hear it directly now that she's arrived. She must show proper respect and offer her greeting to the one who belongs to this place. Ain is brought before a towering presence. A vast, overwhelming eye gazes down at her. The guide announces it plainly. The Queen. The Mother. Back on the rooftop, Choi's subordinate reports nervously. Their magic is working. The regeneration is definitely blocked. And yet, they don't know how to respond to what they're seeing. They aren't even sure if the neutralization is progressing at all. What remains of Eugene is horrifying. Only his head is left. And from that head, a hand is emerging, stretching outward to maintain the dimensional connection. The subordinate trembles. What? Are they even fighting? Inside his fading consciousness, Eugene thinks wryly that this is incredibly awkward. He somehow managed to protect his head and hands, but maintaining the portal in this condition is exhausting beyond measure. He apologizes silently to Ain and begs her, just a little longer, please hurry up. Choi Seok snaps at his subordinates, barking orders to ignore the creeping unease. Whatever this grotesque shape is, it's clearly not normal, and the shrinking hole proves the enemy is taking damage. To him, the outcome is already decided. With a sharp breath, he strides toward Eugene, declaring he'll finish it himself. He addresses Eugene directly, almost mockingly. Eugene hasn't counterattacked once, just stood there, guarding that strange hole while getting torn apart. That alone convinces Isiok it must be some horrific spell in preparation. Otherwise, why protect it so desperately without fighting back? Isiok continues his condemnation, blaming Eugene's very existence for spreading fear among the citizens. To him, that fear is instinctive proof of Eugene's evil. Raising his magic sword, he vows to settle everything here, the public's terror and his own humiliation. Eugene will be neutralized and dragged before the Alliance's tribunal. Eugene finally speaks, calm, apologetic. He admits his mistakes and accepts whatever punishment awaits him. He just asks for a little time. He says he'll take it out, immediately. Isiok freezes for half a second, confused. Take out what? Then strikes without hesitation, warning him not to try anything clever. In his mind, it's over. After being torn up this badly, no magic could possibly turn the tables. Isiok notices something clinging to his blade. His confidence cracks. Just moments ago, the sword had sliced clean through. Now, something's wrong. As realization dawns on him, Eugene begins reattaching his severed limbs, forcing himself past his limits. An apology flickers through Eugene's thoughts, but only briefly. He just needs a little more, even if it nearly breaks him. The scene shifts to the fairy realm. Aine stands before the queen, who calmly confirms that Eugene sent her. Aine is overwhelmed. The presence here feels monstrously vast, far beyond anything she's known. The queen studies her and asks if she's Eugene's bloodkin. Aine quickly denies it, calling herself only a disciple. That answer seems to satisfy her. Eugene's scent on her now makes sense. She reflects on the path Eugene chose and pauses on the word friend. Was that really how Eugene saw himself to them? Aine panics internally. She can't read their expressions, but the atmosphere is anything but warm. It feels like Eugene unknowingly offended them and then sent Aine alone into danger. The queen corrects the misunderstanding. Eugene is not merely a friend, he is this world's one and only savior. What they feel for him goes far beyond friendship. It's immeasurable gratitude and awe for someone who risked his life for their world. Because of that, Aine is no threat. As Eugene's disciple, he is declared a precious guest. The queen formally welcomes her, and the tension dissolves, replaced by reverence. The fairies surrounding Aine immediately soften, telling her to make herself at home. She awkwardly thanks them, still overwhelmed by the sudden warmth. One fairy casually notes that since Aine arrived alone, Eugene must be busy helping others elsewhere, and asks if he's doing well. Aine hesitates, then answers that he's fine. Instantly, another fairy regrets not treating her better from the start. Eugene, they say, gave them a sacrifice and grace that could never be repaid in a lifetime. Inside, Aine feels crushed by the kindness. What exactly did teacher Eugene do to earn treatment like this? The queen calmly calls Aine forward and asks her purpose for coming. Aine explains her situation. She can no longer use magic, and she was told that mentioning Eugene, teacher Eugene, might allow her to receive help. The queen immediately understands. The technique Eugene devised, inspired by fairy traits. After a moment's thought, she agrees to help by sending one of the fairy children to Aine's world. With Eugene working alongside her, it will surely resolve Aine's problem. Aine barely has time to react before the room erupts. Every fairy shouts at once, begging to be chosen. They all want to go. No. They all want to see Eugene again. Aine stares in disbelief. Teacher Eugene is a total idol. It almost feels like they care more about seeing him than helping her. Somehow, that stings. Still, Aine assesses them objectively. These fairies are the very motif behind ancient magic, rare, powerful, and incredibly useful. Even if they don't look especially appealing, regaining magic would make everything worth it. Before she can finish thinking, the rope Aine is holding suddenly speaks, shouting her name. She freezes. Teacher Eugene? Eugene's voice bursts out urgently, warning her to hurry back. Things are going very wrong. Aine panics. Sending only eyes and a mouth through space isn't exactly reassuring. Apparently, Eugene had been holding the dimensional gate open while watching the situation unfold. One of the fairies interrupts in shock. Is that really Eugene? Eugene cheerfully greets them all like old friends. Aine, watching this unfold, mutters that her absurdly popular teacher must be enjoying himself. The fairies fuss over Eugene immediately, asking if he's wearing the clothes they gave him, begging him to show his face. Eugene apologizes for the long silence and explains he should have visited in person, but there's no time. They need to leave now. The fairies protest. They haven't even chosen who will go yet. The queen cuts through the noise. There's no need to choose. She points to one child. Ain barely registers it before that presence suddenly fuses with her head. Eugene yelps, saying greetings can wait, and in rope form, he grabs Ain and drags her out as the fairies shout their goodbyes. After they leave, the fairies question their queen. She acknowledges their feelings but stands by her decision. Turning inward, she speaks to Eugene in her thoughts. She respects his choice even if it defies human logic. Because Eugene is that kind of person, the successor of Jung Yui Hyok's legacy. She hopes this child will become a pillar of support, someone Eugene can rely on, and who can rely on him in return. The battlefield snaps back into focus. One of Choi Yi-seok's subordinates screams as his hand begins to warp grotesquely. Yi-seok orders them not to panic. There's no pain. But inside, dread coils tight. The repair block magic stopped long ago. No attack magic works anymore. The situation has spiraled completely out of control. Yi-seok stares at Eugene's transformed face, cold terror settling in. Is he even human? Regret floods him. His inferiority complex, his fear, the disciples he dragged into this nightmare. His subordinates shout that things are falling apart. One of them glimpses Eugene and recoils in pure horror. Yi-seok doesn't deny it. They touch something they never should have. He orders his team to gather mana for two-wheel magic, while he moves in himself, flying straight toward Eugene. He starts pulling his subordinates free from Eugene's writhing magical body, apologizing to them in his thoughts. Sorry for forcing them to deal with this mess. The mana continues to gather as the storm reaches its breaking point. Choi Yi-seok manages to yank his last subordinate free, shouting that it's done. But there's no relief. Something is breaking through. He orders everyone to hit the deck and raise shields immediately. Inside, he knows the truth. This won't kill it. At best, the two-wheel magic might seal the monster temporarily. He activates Ultra Vibration Soul Prison, and the moment before it lands, the dimensional gate rips open. Ain crashes onto the ground, groaning as she rolls to a stop. She calls out to teacher Eugene, half relieved, half exasperated, complaining that if he was going to throw her into a disaster like this, he should have warned her properly. Eugene apologizes casually, still in his horrifying state, asking if the unfamiliar environment disoriented her. Ain stares at him, calm, honest, brutal. Your current condition is way more disorienting. She asks what on earth happened that made him rush so badly, and Choi Yi-seok cuts in sharply. Jung-ein? Yi-seok stares at Ain in disbelief. Why did she come out of there? Wasn't she supposed to be overseas? And why is she with Eugene? Ain is just as stunned. Dean Choi Yi-seok? Then she fires back. Why is he here? Before it spirals further, Eugene interrupts with forced cheer, admitting he really should have explained everything properly. Eugene quickly lays it out. Ain lost her mana and can't use magic anymore. He created wheelless magic that doesn't require mana and planned to teach it to her after enrolling her as an academy student. But Ain wanted to use magic again immediately. So he sent her to the fairy dimension he used to live in to ask for help. There was just one problem. Dimensional magic is heavily regulated management magic, and he pushed himself too hard. Mid-sentence, Eugene collapses. Police flood the scene, shouting Eugene's name as they rush in. Reports had come in about a massive disturbance at the academy building. They freeze when they see it. Eugene unconscious on the ground, Choi Yi-seok and his battered subordinates standing around, and Ain nearby. What the hell is this situation? The final focus lingers on Ain, and especially on the strange blue substance now embedded in her head. Something from the fairy queen, something that shouldn't be there. A strange voice echoes inside Eugene's head, tugging him back to consciousness, murmuring about the one he must love. Before he can fully process it, Ain notices he's awake and checks on him. Nearby, Detective Kim Song-hai orders Choi Yi-seok and his people to deal with the aftermath quietly. Watching from a distance, Eugene recognizes the detective immediately and asks Ain to wait just a moment. In the blink of an eye, Eugene suddenly appears right in the middle of the discussion, catching everyone off guard. Yi-seok is still explaining that there's no solid evidence, only a mage's intuition, when Eugene cheerfully butters it up with a random greeting, then calmly announces he'll turn himself in. The detective blinks. For what? Eugene answers plainly, unauthorized use of the Dimensional Gate's regulatory management spell. He admits he was reckless and says he'll accept any punishment without complaint. That's when the detective snaps. He tears into Yi-seok and his subordinates, furious at their actions. No matter how terrifying Eugene looked, gathering this many people and unleashing lethal magic in a residential area is unacceptable. Aggravated assault. Attempted murder. Yi-seok fires back, insisting they weren't even dealing with a human anymore. As a combat mage, he recognized the danger and acted before innocent people could be hurt. What was wrong with that? Yi-seok presses the point. Even detectives have intuition. Could Kim honestly say he treated Eugene without prejudice the first time they met? The memory surfaces, guns drawn, bullets lodged in Eugene's face as he casually joked, complimented exhausted officers, offered coffee, and politely handed over a captured magic criminal like it was nothing. Back in the present, the detective cuts the memory short and gets to the point. What does Eugene want to do? If Eugene admits he's the victim, everyone else gets arrested on the spot. Eugene touches his face and suddenly starts laughing. Awkward, breathless laughter, like someone who doesn't know how to react. He apologizes and admits this is a first for him. Then, surprisingly, he asks the detective to let everyone go. He acknowledges that he did things that could be misunderstood, and that standing transformed in front of Yisiok's home could easily feel threatening. Then he smiles at Yisiok and tells him not to take it so hard. Looks aren't everything these days. Yisiok is stylish enough. He should have more confidence. Yisiok's brain visibly short-circuits. Before Yisiok can recover, Eugene shoves his phone into his hands and suggests exchanging contacts. Since fate brought them together, why not keep in touch as colleagues? Clan meals, coffee, exchanging help on student management. Oh, and sorry in advance if he needs a day to recover tomorrow. From afar, the detective watches, dryly remarking that Yisiok handled it well. One of Yisiok's subordinates corners Aine, grilling her about rumors. She can't use magic anymore, right? Wasn't she supposed to be overseas recovering after a brutal fight? The accusations keep piling up. She challenged Eugene alone, lost her magic, stayed behind under suspicious circumstances. What kind of mage even is Eugene? What does he teach? At the very least, shouldn't he teach manners? Before the lecture can continue, Aine snaps. She shouts Eugene's name and loudly announces that these people are very interested in enrolling at his academy. Everyone freezes. The subordinates erupt in shock, while Eugene, watching from a distance, tilts his head. Apocalypse. With Choi Yisiok and his subordinates finally gone, the silence settles in. Aine can't relax. Rumors will spread, flies drawn to chaos, and she wonders if relying on Eugene alone will really be enough. Eugene strolls up, exhausted, joking about how wild the day's been. Aine's thoughts spiral. The problems are stacking up like mountains. Before she can finish worrying, he casually mentions he was planning to explain their preparations after she returned from the fairy realm. That's it. Aine lunges at him, grabbing his jaw and screaming for him to shut up. Stop spreading rumors. It's only been a few hours. Don't tell anyone she can't use magic. Of all people, why would he blab to Director Choi Yisiok? Eugene stammers, saying he had to explain or Choi might misunderstand. And besides, they just became friendly. He'll keep the secret. Aine explodes. Friendly? That's the same man who suggested exposing Eugene days ago, and whose academy she trashed along with his disciples. Eugene blinks. Expose? Wreck? Aine pauses. I don't know either. Too tired to continue, Aine says she's heading out. She has somewhere to be in the morning and will come back after lunch. Eugene cheerfully agrees, telling her to rest well and meet him tomorrow afternoon. Inside, he thinks about the thing the Fairy Queen sent with her. He can explain it tomorrow. What a packed day, seeing his master again, enrolling Aine, making a fun new friend like Director Choi Yisiok. Now all that's left is preparing academy operations and Aine's classes, so this world he loves can be filled with kind mages and gentle magic. From tomorrow on, let's study hard. Aine walks away with tears in her eyes, furious and shaken. What a mess, thanks to that hopeless idiot of a teacher. Rumors will spread. It's humiliating. How did everything go so wrong? Can I keep believing in teacher Eugene? The scene shifts to doctors who were dragged into Friedrich's surgery. They complain, finished the operation, nothing left to do. When are they going home? One mentions Grand Mage Jung-Wee Hyuk. At that moment, Friedrich walks by on the phone, coldly asking what they made. Forget the ridiculous spell. Meeting something that shouldn't exist in this world gave him chills. Worse than assassinating the great demon king. As he passes, he casually disintegrates the complaining doctor. Annoying mouth, he mutters. A subordinate offers to send the remaining doctors home. Relief floods them. Finally, proper coffee. Still on the phone, Friedrich asks for confirmation. That man, Eugene, is really his disciple. Jung-Wee Hyuk answers without hesitation. His proudest, most outstanding disciple. One he's never had before, and never will again. He explains why Friedrich was shaken. Eugene is sustaining his life in an ingenious, unnatural state, existing where he shouldn't, forcibly kept alive without demon arts or necromancy. For ordinary humans, just being near him induces horror and nausea. For battle-hardened mages, the instinct is worse. Unconscious lethal spells triggered as self-defense. The more hostility there is, the deeper that enmity grows, clouding judgment and inflaming survival instincts. Friedrich scoffs. A completely cursed monster freak. Still, meeting him was a fresh stimulus. It broke old habits, sparked new ideas. He tells Jung Wee-hyuk to look forward to it. His declaration of war is coming. Friedrich ends the call, annoyed that Wee-hyuk hung up first. Another mage urges focus. Attendance is called. Linus absent. Zodiac, fully assembled. Friedrich addresses them. He knows everyone's busy, but this message must be delivered in person. He once planned to smash the suffocating model garden Wee-hyuk built and create a world where magic dominates all. He thought he was ready, even prepared to flip the world so thoroughly that even the unkillable Jung Wee-hyuk couldn't act. But recently, he paid a heavy price. Learned the world has changed, realized how small his goals truly were. Now he can dream bigger. The room darkens. Let's kill Jung Wee-hyuk first. A massive gathering buzzes with irritation. People scoff at being dragged in physically instead of using a video call, mocking the whole thing as some outdated summons. Then the real bomb drops. They're talking about killing the great mage, not discrediting him, not political maneuvering, actual murder. The room goes quiet. This isn't absurd anymore, it's dangerous. Amid the tension, Friedrich casually asks the mage beside him if she's eating. Her calm answer, she already snacked, only makes the situation feel more surreal. Others push forward, demanding details. The plan sounds insane, but if it's truly possible, even the Alliance wouldn't stand a chance. Someone sneers that the Alliance's great mages are basically corpses already. Remove the most troublesome one, Jung Wee-hyuk, and the future opens up. Someone boldly declares, this will be the Elder's era. Friedrich pauses. The words stir something old. He reflects on a dream he once had, ruled by sheer magical power, and realizes even that ambition was a compromise born from Jung Wee-hyuk's existence. Now, he claims, that threat will be gone. He washes his hands of what comes next, granting them freedom to indulge in any atrocity they want. His promise is simple and chilling. Jung Wee-hyuk's grotesque dream will no longer dictate their future. The mood hard cuts to frustration as Aang vents to her doctor. She's exhausted, sick of living like this, and baffled that the doctor looks exactly the same as when she was a kid. The doctor snaps back dryly. Her father spoiled her rotten, and some habits never die. Aang explains the limitations of the cognitive interference spell on her hat. If someone is determined enough, they'll recognize Jung-ain anyway. The doctor isn't surprised. Aang then gets serious, asking about her heart. Another doctor already cleared it, but she wanted a second opinion from Cecilia. Cecilia confirms it. Aside from a strangely cute distortion, the heart is flawless. No mana crystals left, yet functionally perfect. Top grade for a human heart. Even Cecilia is stunned. Separating mana crystals from the neural network and restoring function this cleanly is beyond what she'd confidently attempt. The culprit is obvious, Eugene. Gone for over a decade, back like nothing happened, and apparently inventing madness again. He calls it wheelless magic, magic without mana. Aang casually mentions she's starting lessons today. Wheelless magic, magic without mana. Cecilia scoffs at how cult-like it sounds, then immediately admits that if it's Eugene, she believes it. Her thoughts drift to past patients, grotesque bodies with perfectly functioning nerves, and she mutters that thanks to this, she went through hell. She quickly brushes it off. When Aang asks about her heart mana stabilizers, Cecilia doesn't hesitate, throw them all away. Coffee, alcohol, cigarettes, no restrictions. Aang raises an eyebrow at the doctor's ethics, dismissing coffee as boring anyway. Cecilia fires back that Aang has only had terrible franchise coffee, and promises to introduce her to a proper bean supplier. Aang leaves in good spirits, laughing and promising to call if anything goes wrong. Cecilia warns her half-heartedly to try not to cause trouble. Left alone, Cecilia's exhaustion catches up to her. The heart isn't the problem, but something in the brain is. Too large, too deep, no symptoms where there should be many. It doesn't look like a tumor. It doesn't make sense. She sighs, deciding she's too tired to dig further. Eugene probably tampered with that too for some reason. Come in, she calls. The scene shifts to Eugene tutoring Aang. No mystic chanting, just brutal academics. He launches straight into crystal systems, framing it like an exam question involving Jung Wee-hyuk. Aang answers flawlessly, rattling off crystal parameters and metallic elements without hesitation. Next comes molecular geometry. Again, Aang nails it, bent structure, lone pair repulsion, bond angles adjusted precisely. Then she hesitates. Is this really necessary for wheelless magic? Eugene beams. Absolutely necessary and insanely impressive. He admits he threw in tricky questions to test her, and she passed without a scratch. Aang shrugs, cheeks red, saying it was just basic material she skimmed once before sleeping. That's when Eugene goes off, not on magic, but on studying. Sleep cycles, memory consolidation, adenosine clearance, golden brain hours after waking. He enthusiastically explains optimal learning strategies, warning against wasting that precious time on web surfing. Ain blinks. Who are you talking to? Eugene smiles. Future students. Ain scratches her head, trying to make sense of Eugene's lessons. Her inherited brain is exceptional, but even so, her mind never ran this sharply before. Memories flash back to when the Queen of Fairies gave her the mysterious artifact that merged with her brain. Since leaving the dimensional gate yesterday, her head has throbbed incessantly, as if another mind were nested inside her own. She suddenly realizes the obvious, the artifact implanted in her head yesterday. How did she forget something so important? She yells at Eugene, demanding an explanation. He calmly offers to take a look, letting her sit while he examines her. Ain's horror grows. He had already pulled out her heart, needed it, and now he's staring into her brain. Eugene's voice drips excitement. The timing was off before, but now he can see it fully. It's about to hatch. Ain shrieks. Hatch is not the word one uses when staring into a person's brain. Eugene insists it must remain sealed for now. He marvels that the Queen's successor, born only once per generation, was entrusted to Ain. Ain can hardly process it. The Queen's successor? That's beyond incredible. Her inner thoughts spin. Even in her prime, the Queen radiated pressure unmatched by dragons. Commanding her successor could take Ain's abilities to levels unimaginable, possibly within a year. Suddenly, something erupts from Ain's head and shoots to the floor. Dizziness hits, but she's okay. She marvels at what she's witnessing. Could this tiny being really support wheelless magic and regular magic alike? Eugene waves off her questions at first, cooing at how adorable it is. When he finally answers, he admits even he doesn't fully understand it. The fairy was born too young and is unlike any other. Ain asks how long it will take to reach even 1/100th the Queen's size. Eugene explains that regular fairies mature over 3,000 years. The Queen's lived tens of thousands. He suggests they raise it together, slowly discovering its potential. The Queen must have had a reason for sending it. Ain scoffs. She didn't adopt a pet and isn't in a position to raise someone. Even if the fairies arranged it for her, their logic is foreign to her. Back at the assembly, Friedrich reminds everyone, this is the plan. Start imagining new projects once Zhong Wei Hyuk is gone. An attendee timidly asks to leave for food and rest. A voice sneers at him, comparing his meal to livestock feed, and dismisses him harshly. The attendees grumble about managing both the Alliance lackeys and their own businesses. Friedrich interrupts, pause, and watch the screen. Suddenly, Eugene's image appears, stirring confusion and irritation among the group. Whispers spread. Some recall Eugene wrecking subcontractors' magical material plants. Rumors of him being Zhong Wei Hyuk's disciple are dismissed as unlikely. Friedrich issues a stern warning. Don't engage with him. Even if you meet him, walk away. When pressed why, he lifts his arm, now replaced entirely, and explains Eugene tore out his heart. The Leo seat remains vacant because of it. Murmurs erupt. Attendees realize everything makes sense now. Past rumors about fleeing after fighting Zhong Wei Hyuk's daughter, Linus's absence, the old man staying quiet. It all points to meeting his match. Some even laugh at his insanity, acknowledging he's rotten but truly met his equal. Friedrich admits, almost grudgingly, that even nearly unarmed, he's never felt so overwhelmed. A century of battles and countless duels haven't prepared him for this. If he'd stubbornly kept fighting, he might have lost. The attendees exchange uneasy glances. Something that should be a joke, killing Zhong Wei Hyuk, doesn't feel funny at all. Whispers turn sharp. One attendee challenges him directly. What are you? Are you really the Friedrich I knew? She remembers the reckless, confident mage whose raw power was almost seductive. Now? He seems pathetic, cowardly, unworthy of loyalty. Before she can finish, she charges. Capricorn, hand it over to me and get lost. Teal's kick strikes with precision. Though the attack uses no mana, it would have cracked Friedrich's skull if not for Shali's spatial magic blocking it. Teal's voice in the background groans, "Wow, that hurts, Shali," she replies casually, brushing it off. Teal's voice teases her coldness toward her big sister, but Shali keeps her focus, issuing sharp commands to Teal. Move your foot, or it'll get cut off. Elder, withdraw your magic too. It's wasted. Teal scowls, muttering, senile old man. But Friedrich calls her over. Calm and measured, Friedrich proposes a bet. If Teal kills that thing and brings it back, Friedrich will hand over Capricorn and serve under her. Teal's eyes gleam. The words hang like a challenge in the air. A murder contract as a bet, she asks, grinning. Friedrich isn't joking, neither is Teal. Let's do it. The stage is set for a deadly game of skill. A group of thugs corner two of Zhong Ain's former subordinates. The girl lounges atop a small hill of ice, frozen bodies trapped inside like trophies, casually chatting as if this is a coffee break instead of a hostage situation. She complains that rumors spread way too fast. After all the effort they put into hiding their former chief, it was bound to leak, especially with someone as overwhelmingly noticeable as her. Still, what really stings? Pride. Apparently, when people can't catch Jong-un, they settle for catching them. Are we some kind of basic requirement? She scoffs. Can't get the final boss, so you farm the side characters. The young man beside her shrugs. They've mostly handled cleanup and backup anyway, and that's exactly her issue. Ain hobbed all the flashy roles. He reminds her they were paid very well for that supporting cast lifestyle. She pauses. True. Fair point. She laughs it off. Then the thug leader steps forward, delivering a dramatic villain speech about terrifying consequences and rough endings if they don't call Jong-un. The young man tilts his head. The girl cuts in, offended. Terror? You discussing terror in front of me? Her face visibly pales as memories flash through her mind. Encounters that clearly left scars. Real monsters. Real pressure. The kind that makes your knees buckle and your blood run cold. She explodes. You ignorant fools who've never experienced true terror. Her partner sighs immediately, telling her to calm down. To anyone watching, she just sounded like a third-rate villain trying too hard. She exhales, regaining composure with a small chuckle. So they want their former chief? Figure it out yourselves. The thugs charge. Magical attacks fly and get effortlessly blocked. The two subordinates continue chatting mid-defense like they're reviewing business strategies. The young man casually notes that all this attention is actually good for them, raises their market value. She lights up at the idea. Exactly. The title of From Jong-un's one-man team wasn't enough to make them rich, but if they start taking down even small fries publicly, that's portfolio material. She grins. Shall we put on a little performance? He mutters that she's getting greedy. From afar, the thug leader clicks his tongue. He underestimated them. They weren't just cleanup crew. They're actually good. The girl activates her two-wheel magic, glacial aura gown, summoning a massive structure of ice beneath them. The battlefield shifts instantly. The thug leader panics, yelling at the mercenary he hired to stop staring at his phone and start fighting. After all that venom about wanting Jong-un, why the hesitation? The mercenary finally speaks. There's none. No hesitation. No explanation. Just that. The leader snaps back in confusion. But it's too late. A red magic circle forms around the mercenary's hand. A simple finger flick. The young man's face darkens, instinct screaming danger. He throws himself in front of the girl. A red flash, thin and precise like a laser, slices through him mid-motion. Silence. The mercenary doesn't even look up properly, eyes still on his phone. No need to deal with him. Found Jong-un. The moment shifts to Jong-un arguing with Eugene. Ain is fully fired up. Open the portal again. She doesn't care if the baby fairy is some legendary fairy queen's direct descendant. A baby belongs in its mother's arms. Simple logic. Just send this one back and grab another fairy later. Eugene, meanwhile, looks like he just aged 5 years. Portals aren't convenient store doors. It takes 3 full months of preparation to open one. Ain does the math instantly. 3 months, so now her timeline to becoming a grand mage has increased to 27 years and 10 months. Priorities. Completely normal priorities. Before the argument escalates further. Hello. They both turn. Eugene immediately switches tone. Polite. Warm. Oh. Hello, friend. The fairy beams. Apparently, his mom told him to be friends with Eugene. Eugene melts. Honored. Instantly accepts the friendship. Then the fairy turns to Ain. You're Jong-un, right? Pause. The things you watch are so boring and dull. You should watch something fun for a change. Ain stares at it. What is this thing saying? Eugene suddenly lights up like he solved the puzzle. He gets it now. It was thanks to this child. While still in a fetal state, the fairy had been sharing a neural network with Ain's brain. 2 minds processing information at once. That's why her memory storage capacity improved so dramatically. Eugene explains it excitedly. It was basically dual-core processing inside her head. No wonder her achievements were absurdly good. He thought he might have been underestimating her talent. Turns out she had backup hardware. Ain just stares. That's certainly interesting. Interesting is one word for it. Eugene then asks the fairy for his name. The fairy blinks. Name? Jong-un. What's my name? Ain frowns. Why is she being asked? Doesn't he have one from his mother? Apparently, Li Ben was his name while he was still in the egg. But once born, he's supposed to receive a new one. And since he was born inside Ain's head, she gets naming rights. Ain suddenly feels dizzy. This is way too much responsibility for someone who just wanted to optimize her mage timeline. The fairy happily insists she choose. Ain squints at him. Round, floaty, translucent jelly. He kind of looks like a jellyfish. The fairy gasps dramatically. I am Jelly. Eugene claps, congratulating him on being born and receiving a new name. Though internally, he absolutely knows she named him after his appearance. Then Eugene leans forward with business energy. Jelly, do you have any special abilities? Because right now, our Ain needs your help. Jelly blinks. My help? And just like that, the newborn fairy is drafted into active duty. Jelly floats up to Jolan with unsettling enthusiasm. You wanted to become a grand mage, right? Ain freezes. How does he know that? Jelly smiles brightly. He saw everything while living inside her head, including her desire to impress her father, Zhonghui Hyuk, the grand mage himself. Apparently inside her mind, she was always thinking about, stop! Ain immediately shuts him down, face burning. Since when did he start broadcasting her inner thoughts like a public radio station? Jelly, completely unbothered, proudly demonstrates his talents instead. He twists, stretches, reshapes his body midair, fluid and flexible like living magic. Eugene's eyes light up. This is it. The very fairy trait that inspired wheelless magic in the first place. If Jelly can function independently with that level of control, she could be the key to mastering it safely. Then, Jelly morphs his face into her father's. Ain's brain explodes. Who said you could do that? How dare you imitates that face? Eugene collapses into laughter, full tears streaming. It's identical. Perfectly identical. Jelly blinks, confused. Do you hate your dad? I don't hate him. Just don't copy him. That face isn't something you casually replicate like a meme filter. Eugene, still laughing, finally regains composure. This little fairy? She's gonna help Ain in ways they haven't even imagined. Ain narrows her eyes. You mean with incredibly rude little tricks? Eugene shifts into teacher mode. Before birth, Jelly only passively enhanced Ain's memory. But now, with a clear sense of self and intelligence, she can act as a true second brain. Not just for academics, for general magic use, for mastering wheelless magic. Double brain function isn't just double. It multiplies cognition, processing, adaptability. It reduces the risks Eugene was most worried about while teaching her. Ain crosses her arms. Even if I use this distracted, rude, childish ego as my second brain, I'm worried it'll ruin my mental health. Jelly gasps in betrayal. Eugene calmly defends her. She's a newborn. As she learns, grows, chooses what she wants, she'll mature into a reliable partner. Then he gently asks Jelly what she wants most right now. Jelly thinks deeply. I want to eat a hamburger. Cut to Jelly happily holding one. Thanks for the food. Ain stares. Is it really okay to feed fast food to a fairy? And more importantly, why a hamburger? Jelly explains simply. While inside Ain's head, she saw a memory. A young Ain eating a burger with Eugene, looking genuinely happy. Eugene brightens. Was that memory really so special? Ain shuts it down instantly. Every kid is happy eating fast food. Don't read into it. Absolutely not having this sentimental angle. Eugene gently shifts the topic. For now, Ain should stay with Jelly, live together, help her grow into a healthy self. Ain immediately senses the trap. Don't casually push the responsibility of raising her onto me. And right on cue. Jong-an, her name echoes through the store. A couple rushes over, they're huge fans. They collect her merch. They follow her exploits in the news. She's even prettier in person. Ain's internal alarms go off. Did someone use perception magic? Is her location completely exposed? The girl from the couple asks about her injury from fighting Friedrich. Is she healed? From behind, Eugene casually comments on her popularity. The couple's faces instantly darken when they recognize him. The man trembles slightly, asking if Eugene is someone she knows. Ain smoothly answers. He's the teacher helping with her rehabilitation. They're discussing her return training. The couple immediately apologizes for disturbing her and retreats in a panic. Once they're gone, Ain asks Eugene quietly if he knows them. He shrugs. Met them briefly a few days ago. Nothing suspicious at all. Totally. Jelly suddenly tubs at Ain. I want to watch YouTube. Lend me your phone. Ain stares at her like she just proposed self-sabotage. My external auxiliary brain is requesting to fry itself with stimulation and dopamine? She absolutely should not allow this. Eugene gently counters. Even if the fairy queen sent Jelly to help Ain, wouldn't it be cruel to force her into nothing but responsibility right after birth? For now, let her be a child. Ain hesitates, then hands over the phone. Fine, here. Before leaving, she warns Eugene to make sure Jelly doesn't watch anything weird. He salutes playfully. Ain heads to the restroom, washing her hands as her thoughts spiral. As expected, her whereabouts are fully exposed. People think she's just injured. They don't know she can't use magic at all yet. That secret still matters. Then a darker thought creeps in. Did Choi Yi-seok's disciples spread rumors about her condition along with everything else? And just like that, the burger break stops feeling lighthearted. In the restroom, Jung-in stares at her reflection, mind racing. If word about her condition spreads, it's obvious what happens next. Bottom feeders will crawl out of every crack. Revenge seekers, opportunists, idiots hoping to kidnap her and extort her father, Jung Wee-hyuk. When she's with Eugene, she's fine. But the way home? Being alone in the house? That's the weak point. Should she just move into Eugene's place? The thought barely finishes forming. A voice speaks right behind her. Did you wash your hands? Her blood runs cold. Cut back to the table. Eugene casually watches Jelly glued to the phone. Is it that fun? Jelly, fully absorbed, frowns at the screen. How do I lift this payment limit? I need to pull the gotcha. Eugene immediately intervenes as the phone rings. You have a call. Let me take that. He answers smoothly, only for a familiar, panicked voice to explode through the line. One of Ain's subordinates. Teacher Eugene, where are you right now? Where's Chief? Ain? Eugene replies lightly. We're out getting hamburgers. Ain stepped into the restroom for a moment. Silence, then sheer urgency. Go to Ain. Right now. Magic criminals had tracked them down. They suddenly pinpointed Ain's location and fled in that direction. And they're stronger than expected. Far too dangerous for Ain, especially since she currently can't use magic. Teacher Eugene, you have to stay right by her side. Back in the restroom. Ain's hand is violently knocked away mid-motion. She looks up in shock. Standing before her, the mercenary from before. The scene rewinds a few minutes. In the restroom hallway, the mercenary faces Jong-an calmly. You're wandering around more boldly than I expected. Is it because people don't know you can't use magic? Her heart drops. So it's out. Judging by his tone, he's definitely not a fan. The restaurant where Eugene is sitting? Just outside the arcade. One building away. Her phone? Left behind. Perfect. If she causes a scene, draws a crowd, maybe she can stall. But holding out until Eugene arrives would be difficult. The mercenary steps closer. You've roughly caught on, right? It'll be easier if you follow quietly. Ain steadies her breathing. Kidnapping. Which means he doesn't intend to kill her immediately. Good. She analyzes him quickly, the hand gripping her, the flow of mana. Mage. Lower tier wizard at best. If he were higher, he'd have sealed her with binding or trap magic the second she stepped out. It hurts her pride to admit it, but she moves. Instead of complying, Ain screams at full volume. The mercenary activates his spell. Too slow. She grabs his arm, twists, snaps. The crack echoes. Holding his broken arm in place, she speaks almost conversationally. People misunderstand me a lot. They think I'm some dullard who can only fire magic. She tilts her head slightly. Buffer coating magic. You know how to use it? Even if he does, it won't protect your joints. She demands to know whose orders this is. Some punk she beat before? A red magic circle flares. He flicks his finger. A thin red beam slices through the air. She dodges. Barely. She hits the ground hard. He's tougher than she calculated. Without magic, this is her limit. A red flash. Pain explodes. Her arm is severed cleanly. The world tilts. Moments later, the mercenary exhales heavily, lifting her limp body over his shoulder. You sure raised a heavy one. Cold. Detached. Just cargo. Back inside, Eugene stares at the blood. At Ain's arm. His mind blanks, then shatters. Ain's arm. A scream tears out of him. You idiot, you fool, I'm a fool. He knew she was anxious. She said it over and over. She was worried about being exposed, and he let her walk alone. He sinks, crushed by guilt. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Jelly floats closer carefully. Eugene, are you okay? I'll help you find Jung-in too. He inhales shakily. Yeah, thanks Jelly. He forces himself upright. It's not too late. Eugene's mind shifts into precision mode. The fact that her arm is here means it was cut immediately after she exited the restroom. Not much time has passed, which means she might still be alive. He activates wheelless magic, spatial memory tracking. The moment his hand touches the floor, memories flood in, residual traces, movements, echoes of presence. Then, found her, alive. They're moving her toward a car. He has to go, now. Just as he's about to move, Ain's subordinates rush in. Mr. Eugene, we're here. They see the blood, what happened to A, and the atmosphere turns deadly quiet. Ain's subordinates rush in and stop cold. Half of Eugene's face is gone, torn away from overexerting wheelless magic. Mr. Eugene, he answers calmly, almost gently. Ah, Yun-hai, we myung. He thanks them for the warning, then delivers it plainly. Ain has been kidnapped. No panic in his voice anymore. Just direction. Time is tight. I'll go save Ain first. And he disappears. Inside a moving car, the gang leader talks on the phone while driving. They caught her, but things got messy. The crazy bastard mercenary cut off her arm. Now his own arm is broken. Do they have hemostats, splints, spare blood? He promised to deliver her without a scratch, especially since she can't even use magic right now. And the mercenary didn't even pick up the severed arm. Tracking magic? He used jamming spray. She didn't have her phone either. Then, the leader's voice spikes. Hey, mercenary, behind you, right side of the car. Something massive descends. Is that a magic beast? We haven't even left the city yet. The mercenary turns and freezes. It's not a beast, it's Eugene, transformed into a massive bird-like form, wings cutting through the air. He slams down onto the car roof. Ain, wake up. Even if it's hard, you can't sleep. He presses a hand to the roof. I'll save you soon. I'll reattach your arm. The mercenary reacts instantly. A red flash. Eugene's hand is severed. He drops away, but his voice still echoes inside the car. The mercenary glances at Ain. Bodyguard? Then something feels wrong. That severed hand. It's still there, still attached to the roof, still speaking. Eugene linked his awareness to Ain's severed arm. He's speaking through it. You're not sleepy. You're entering hypovolemic shock. His voice sharpens, clinical and urgent. If you fall into a coma, oxygen won't reach your brain. Your blood will turn acidic. Your organs will start failing. The mercenary's thoughts flicker with unease. He definitely cut it off. So why? Is it regenerating from the arm? Eugene continues, absurdly polite despite the situation. Excuse me, mister. I'll finish restoring myself and come inside soon, so please keep Ain awake. He even gives medical instructions. If possible, raise her legs higher than her body. The mercenary, unnerved, slices again. Not just the arm, the entire car roof. Metal shears off in one brutal strike. That sends a chill down my spine, the mercenary mutters. The driver explodes. Of course it's chilling. You blew away the ceiling. Can't you handle things more gracefully? They're supposed to be discreet. Now they're driving a roofless car. Perfect. They finally reach an abandoned building. The leader mocks the mercenary as they step out. Good job, eh? Getting your arm twisted by a woman who can't even use magic. Was she pitiful? Did he hesitate? He casually informs him the damage will be deducted from his share. Because in the end, this was supposed to be simple. Grab the powerless mage, deliver her, get paid. Instead, they now have a furious, half-dismantled teacher hunting them from the sky. Inside the abandoned building, the mercenary checks in with the nurse. Treatment done? Can we move her? For now, yes. Hemostasis. Anesthesia. That's it. He notices her hat is still on. The nurse says she couldn't remove it. Some kind of magic is preventing it. From afar, the gang leader watches the mercenary, Mage, a former butcher hired because he's exceptional at cutting magic, normally unmotivated, detached, but today, strangely aggressive. Is it a grudge or just a twisted fan? He orders the nurse to prepare the car and erase every trace. Not a single piece of evidence left behind. Meanwhile, the mercenary speaks directly to the barely conscious Jung-eung. He didn't mean to cut off her arm. He admits it almost casually, impressed that a high-rank combat mage also has such refined martial arts. Then he gestures toward a trembling boy in the corner. That's the informant. The employer overheard him at a bar, bragging that Ain can't use magic anymore. They brought him in, interrogated him. The boy apologizes over and over, shaking. The mercenary explains calmly that he's a combat mage too, but easier to break than her. A little pressure on the tendons, and he spilled everything. Ain forces herself to speak, cutting straight to the core. Are you trying to demand something from my father with my life, or is it revenge? Sorry to disappoint them. Threatening her won't move Jung Yui-hyuk. The mercenary chuckles softly. Everyone knows that. To the Grand Mage, the suffering of strangers and the life of his own daughter, equally precious, or perhaps equally unimportant. Either way, he won't act. This isn't revenge. It's not even leverage. It's a whim. A high-ranking union official wants to own her, whether as a trophy, a specimen, or something worse. The mercenary calls it what it is, a nasty impulse from a dropout who couldn't keep up with the new era Jung Yui-hyuk created. Ain processes this quietly. They didn't immediately move her far away. They locked her here. Which means they need time for something. Her thoughts drift in and out. She didn't hear everything clearly earlier, but she knows. Eugene came. She lost track of him, but he has a way to find her. Still, that doesn't help her right now. She expected rumors to spread. That part was inevitable. But what angers her is the way they talk about her father. He isn't indifferent. He just carries the role of someone who must appear that way. Does this man truly think the bond between them is shallow? That her understanding of her father's burden means nothing? Her vision blurs red. I won't be satisfied until I tear that vulgar mouth apart. But she can't even lift her own body. Resentment burns. In this state, she can't do anything with her own hands. Then, a soft tap on her leg. Jelly. Jong-eung. Her tiny voice is oddly normal. Is your cut arm okay? Does it hurt enough to make your face that red? Then, innocently, wanna watch YouTube together until Eugene comes? Ain's eyes snap open. Jelly? An old man calmly speaks on the phone, voice smooth and disturbingly courteous. He thanks the other party for their honesty, casually adding that he doesn't mind if an arm is missing. Just try to avoid excessive physical or mental damage. Oh, and if possible, include the girl's hat. His wife has been eagerly waiting for that piece in her collection. He promises to send someone to the rendezvous point on time. On the other end, the leader beams with false politeness. They'll wrap things up nicely and deliver her. Call ends. The leader turns to the mercenary beside him, smirking. While someone was nearly suffocating trying to protect his share, does that slide down that easily? One more job and they're done, right? He even offers him a future. Fix that attitude, and there's a full-time position waiting overseas once he leaves Korea. The mercenary doesn't respond. His thoughts are somewhere else. Jung Wee-hyuk, it's all your fault. You ruined your own daughter. If he can carve even the smallest crack, even the faintest distortion, into that detestable, perfect smile, that will be enough. Elsewhere, Jelly is casually scrolling through Ain's phone. He just wanted to re-watch a funny video. Ain blinks. Wait, how is he here? Where's Uncle Eugene? Jelly explains he got off earlier when Eugene caught that moving car. As if that's a normal sentence, Eugene said he'd follow soon and told them to stay put. A text arrives. Ain's shoulders finally drop. Uncle Eugene, relief washes over her. She expected him to handle things, but a small part of her feared he might be wandering somewhere unpredictable. A man nearby hesitates, staring at Jelly. Mage Jung-ein, what exactly is that beside you? Before Ain can answer, Jelly introduces himself proudly. Ain named him, you know? The man stiffens. Is he a contracted fairy? Realization dawns, and awe follows. As expected of Mage Jung. Handling rare fairy magic too? Jelly ignores the reverence entirely and invites him to come sit and watch WooTube together until they're out. The man, completely disarmed, awkwardly agrees. Kidnapping situation? Apparently now it's a group watch party. Jelly tilts his head at the man's wrists. What's that? Isn't it uncomfortable? Fashion, the man awkwardly explains, binding magic handcuffs. While wearing them, he can't use magic. They're extremely expensive. Usually only public institutions have access to them. No idea how these thugs got their hands on one. If he didn't have this, he could knock out every bad guy here and escape instantly. Jelly's eyes sparkle. Really? In the background, Ain watches carefully. That guy's combat sense isn't amazing, but his severing magic is precise. Dangerous. Unless someone has defensive magic on Huaimyong's level, with the bald guy's sloppy standards she saw before. Then, click. Jelly unlocks the magic handcuffs. Ain's eyes widen. Those cuffs can't be removed without using magic to release them. If forced physically, they burn the mana nerves connected to the wrists. And yet, Jelly just opened them. A memory surfaces. Eugene's voice. A way to use magic without internal mana. Ain's thoughts sharpen. Don't tell me. Could it be? Jelly cheerfully asks the obvious. So, can they leave now? The young man awkwardly explains he can't exactly walk. His ankle tendons were cut. Ain smoothly steps in, changing direction. By the way, what's your name? He straightens up despite the situation. Park Jung-dae, 21. She can speak casually if she wants. She immediately refuses. No need for that, Mr. Jung-dae. Then she drops it casually. You saw Uncle Eugene, my teacher, yesterday, right? He's on his way here to save me. The name alone detonates something in Jung-dae's brain. Why? Ain tilts her head. What do you mean why? Then her voice turns cold. If he does her one small favor before Uncle Eugene arrives, for running his mouth about her situation without permission, for getting her arm cut off as a result, she might consider forgiving him. Tears pool instantly in his eyes. Anything. Just say it. Cut to a call being made. 3 intruders. Tell the boss to stop clearing the building and flee with the merchandise immediately. It looks critical. The intruders are revealed. Eugene. And 2 of Ain's subordinates. A guard prepares to handle them, confident she can deal with mere grunts if they swarm. One of Ain's men quickly intervenes. Let's leave this to Mr. Eugene. That's safer. Eugene politely steps forward like he's asking for directions. Excuse me, we're looking for someone. The guard panics instantly. Don't come closer. Especially you, lanky, restricted area, we're combat mages. She tries to hold the line. And then suddenly, under Eugene's magic, words spill out against her will. Kidnapped people are processed in the basement. VIP requests are handled directly by the boss and executives. 3 unfinished buildings to the right. Middle one, 3rd floor lounge. They only guard the outside. Eugene smiles pleasantly. That's enough. Thanks for the detailed explanation. He almost asks about someone named Majiun, then stops himself. No, not now. Saving Ain comes first. His subordinate voices the concern. If they attack the executives first, Ain might be taken hostage. Eugene nods. Then I'll find where Ain is locked up. Let's move. Priority set. No detours. Meanwhile, the mercenary stares into a mirror. What is he even doing? This won't fix his life. He couldn't touch the Grand Mage. He lashed out at the daughter instead. The resentment toward Zheng Yui Hyuk keeps growing. And all it proves is that he isn't some tragic victim of the times. He's just mediocre, petty, consumed by an inferiority complex. He remembers that day. The look in her eyes when she saw him using magic. They shone like he was the most brilliant gem in the world. If he hadn't seen that, maybe he wouldn't have ruined himself chasing that illusion. He steps out of the restroom. A voice greets him from the corner. Did you wash your hands before coming out? He reacts instantly. Red energy fires like a laser. Ain deflects it. His pupils shake. She deflected it? That was magic? Ain clicks her tongue. As expected, with this much, it's barely manageable. His mind spirals. Impossible. Why hide it? Why endure losing an arm if she could still use magic? She cuts through his thoughts effortlessly. It's written all over your face. Why did I hide it if I could use it? She lifts her injured side slightly. I didn't hide it. Look at the blood. Can't you see how pathetic this defense is? Then she clarifies. To be precise, I became able to use it again. But the conditions aren't great. So this is all she can manage right now. And even at barely manageable, she just blocked his killing shot. Flashback. Ain evaluates Part Jung Dae like she's grading homework. Shock discharge. Basic cushioning magic. That's it? She presses further. Any elemental discharge series at all? And why is every output so weak? Jung Dae stumbles through his explanation. He did have a couple more two-wheel spells, but he burned through them during yesterday's incident. Without prepared materials, he's basically empty. Ain nods. Fine, she'll work with this. She turned sharply to Jelly. Is what I said really possible? Because Jelly's role is crucial. Jelly hums thoughtfully. It might work, but it's too complex to execute quickly alone. Ain will have to handle the difficult mimicry calculations herself. Ain raises her missing arm without hesitation. Leave that to me. Just come in. Follow my brain's instructions. Spread evenly through the blood vessels, hands, heart, brain. Jelly salutes cheerfully. Got it. The moment Jelly enters through the severed arm, Ain collapses. Blue energy floods her veins like a violent tide. Her body spasms as magic surges through pathways that were never meant to carry it like this. Her mind screams. It doesn't hurt. It's just a reflex, not pain. Her thoughts feel like they're being torn apart and rewoven mid-process. Consciousness splitting and stitching itself back together. I can do this. No, I have to. I am Grand Mage Jung Wee Hyuk's daughter. A blue magic circle forms in her palm. For the first time since losing it, she creates a wheel with her will. Magic returns. Jelly, you're the best. Her chest rises sharply. Done. Magic again. She laughs softly, almost disbelieving. This is the happiest she's felt since she was 8. Jungdae stares, stunned and worried. Didn't she say Mr. Eugene was coming soon? Wouldn't it be safer to just wait? Ain looks at him like he just failed the most basic exam. I'm Mr. Eugene's student. If I sit around before every class waiting to be spoon-fed, when will I ever improve? Back to the present. Magic clashes between Ain and the mercenary. Her thoughts hover calmly amid the chaos. If there is one duty a student must uphold, isn't it thorough preparation before class? Across from her, the mercenary's confidence crumbles. So she had a backup plan. From planning to execution, he underestimated her. They dared kidnap the Grand Mage's daughter. Ain cuts him off sharply. I told you earlier, my father has nothing to do with this. Her eyes harden. The enemy you made, especially you, from the very beginning, was never the Grand Mage's daughter. It was Mage Jung Ain.